I found a love for me. Darling, just dive right in, follow my lead. Well, I found a girl, beautiful and sweet. Well, I never knew you were the someone waiting for me. 'Cause we were just kids when we fell in love, not knowing what it was. I will not give you up this time, darling, just kiss me slow. Your heart is all I own, and in your eyes you're holding mine. Baby, I'm dancing in the dark with you between my arms, barefoot on the grass. We're listening to our favorite song. When you said you looked a mess, I whispered underneath my breath, but you heard it. Darling, you look perfect tonight. Well, I found a woman stronger than anyone I know. She shares my dreams. I hope that someday I'll share her home. I found a love to carry more than just my secrets, to carry love, to carry children of our own. We are still kids, but we're so in love, fighting against all odds. I know we'll be alright this time. Darling, just hold my hand, be my girl, I'll be your man. I see my future in your eyes. Baby, I'm dancing in the dark with you between my arms, barefoot on the grass, listening to our favorite song. When I saw you in that dress, looking so beautiful, I don't deserve this. Darling, you look perfect tonight. Baby, I'm dancing in the dark with you between my arms, barefoot on the grass, or listening to our favorite song. I have faith in what I see. Now I know I have met an angel in person, and she looks perfect. I don't deserve this. You look perfect tonight.
Hi, everyone. How is everybody doing tonight? I want you to join me in recognizing the distinguished career of Officer Jaime Lopez here with us. Hi, Jaime.
Hi,
And
how are you?
he is a decorated veteran and law enforcement professional. Jaime served in the U.S. Marines from 1987 to 1991, including time in the Persian Gulf War, with stations in Cherry Point, North Carolina, Japan, Korea, and the Philippines. He then served as an immigration officer with the Department of Justice from 1993 to 2003, working at a port of entry in Nogales, Arizona. Building on this experience, Jaime joined the Department of Homeland Security, our favorite, right? Department of Homeland Security, as an ICE agent in 2003, serving in San Bernardino, California until 2023. And throughout his career, he has conducted numerous high risk investigations, arrests, targeting our best friends, the serious threats to America and national security, including gang members, drug traffickers, rapists, child molesters, and all the other criminals that have been destroying America for years. So, everyone, please give Jaime a warm welcome. And thank you, Jaime, for your service and everything that you've done for America and for all of us.
Thank you
I
also.
second that.
You're
So
welcome. Thank you also for your patriotism. Appreciate that.
hopefully you like the opening. You served. Do you have kids in the military or anything?
No, I had one son, but he was never like me or my brothers. I'm the only one in these
Oh, okay.
two careers that I dreamed of since I was 10 years old. Yeah,
Yeah.
that I dreamed of doing, and which I did. So, but I'm a different breed, I guess, from my
Yeah.
family.
I hear you on that. What made you go from the service over to the ICE protection and all this and that? And once you
Well,
got in, the policies were not so good for a while there, right?
yeah, at that time, I believed in maintaining my federal government service, so that's why I just decided to join that agency back then. Well, a lot of friends of mine that I had been in the military with got hired, so they got me into it too. Aside from that, and that's why I went through it or for it. And thank God I did. I have no regrets because any career with the federal government is the best career ever. As long as you stay clean, do the right thing, and yeah, I would
Did
do
you
it
have
all over again.
any issues with the cartels or anything?
Well,
Because
back
you were
then it was not as bad. The only thing that I interdicted there was a lot of fraud, aliens, yeah, a lot of smuggling of illegal aliens through the ports of entry, through the vehicle lanes, pedestrian. A lot of stuff, drugs too. I did encounter a lot of people trying to smuggle drugs. That has never stopped and will never stop. But that's what I did at the port of entry. Yeah,
What
and
about
then
the sex trade of all the little kids and stuff? I hear they drug. Well, I've seen a lot of videos where they kind of drug them up to get them across the border and stuff and
yes,
pretend they're kids.
there's a lot of that, of course, and to this day, there's a lot of abuse of kids through that. Using them for any, even for committing crimes. As you know. But that's one thing that will never stop, and that's the worst of the worst. Yeah.
Well, did you see a huge difference in the policies between Trump
Oh
and then?
yes, most definitely. Like the one thing I told Paloma that this is the worst that I've seen it with the Biden administration. I've never seen it so bad.
Well, they were actually putting them on planes and flying them into America. Didn't even bother with the border. They flew them over
Yeah.
the border, right?
Not only that, our hands were handcuffed, not tied. It was so bad. We were all frustrated, and we were just stopped, from doing what we did. But it's been the
Stopped you from
worst that
doing.
I've seen.
And that's what we wanted to talk about tonight,
Yeah,
because him and I have been talking about this for years, about everything that happens at the border. And because Jaime knows that I've also spent so many years
yeah,
seeing exactly what's going on at the border. And I honestly, I got to tell you, I've always, ever since I started crossing so frequently, I've had so much respect for the agents. And the reason why is because I've seen how 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 dangerous it can be and how demanding their job really is, dealing with so much traffic, so many things going
yeah,
on. And not only that, but I can't even imagine having to deal, especially the last 4 years, with someone like Joe Biden, making it even more difficult for you guys to do your job, what you're supposed to do, what you took an oath to do, which is
yeah,
to protect and to serve and protect America and and to protect the borders, and not being able to because of the policies and because of the politics behind it.
Yeah.
And so when Trump was in office, I remember I I saw the look on the agent's face as soon as Trump won the first time. That was the first time he won. I remember seeing they seemed so excited again. They seemed so like glad to do their job again at San Isidro, which is the border that I used to cross. I know, Jaime, you worked in Nogales in Arizona. I don't know if it's how busy it is compared to San Isidro, which I believe is one of the busiest borders in
Oh yeah,
America,
yeah.
right?
San Isidro is
But
the biggest for sure. Yeah.
um, but I do remember talking and interviewing, not interviewing, but talking to the agents directly at the border.
Mm.
And they were so glad that Trump had been elected. This is back in 2016. And one of the reasons why and this is what something that Jaime told me a few days ago when I talked to him, he said the reason why I caught his attention was because he realized that I really appreciated and loved America, right, Jaime?
Yeah, because of the patriotism, I do appreciate people who are really, grateful for everything. I do appreciate those kind of people for your patriotism and the rest. That's what caught my attention. Yeah.
Yeah, because I had been seeing the destruction in California for years, and so to me it was a problem
Yeah.
that was only about to get much worse. I mean, to me it was basically just the destruction of America on its way, and this is way back in like 2006, 2007, 2008, because in Tijuana the thing it was really bad already then, and I
Yeah.
remember in 2009, if you remember the time of the war on drugs in Tijuana got real bad when Felipe
Oh yeah.
Calderon was in office. And I remember being in San Diego. This is in 2008, 2009. I remember being in San Diego and feeling so safe, right? So safe. But if it was maybe 6 o'clock or 7 o'clock, I wouldn't dare cross into Mexico because I knew how
That's so
dangerous it
bad.
was.
Yeah.
And but I had to go there because of my dogs. Really, that was the only reason why I would even cross, because of my dogs, right? And I remember one time one of the agents asked me, he's like, "Why are you in Mexico? Like, what do you do? Like, why?" Because they could see my record crossing all the time. Um, and they could see me that crossing 2 or 3 times a week, and I would tell them, "Oh, it's because of my dogs, because I have dogs in Tijuana, and I'm going to school in LA, and I live in LA, but I come back because of my dogs." And he was like, "Well, you must really be dedicated to those dogs, because it was so
Yeah.
dangerous. I mean, we had 60 people being killed a day in Tijuana in those days. And people would get hung from the bridges. I found a couple of dead bodies outside my house where I had my dogs back then. And so I knew how dangerous it was. And I knew that all that was going to move north if we didn't do anything about it, and it started moving north. People started
Oh,
getting carjacked in San Isidro, you know, and in 2009, I heard the story of this guy going through this McDonald's drive-through in San Isidro, and two Mexican guys came to his car. They took his car, but they didn't only take his car. They took his dogs inside the car. So obviously that made a big impact on me, because they not only beat him with a bat, but they pulled him out of the car. They beat him with a bat, and they took the van to Tijuana with the dogs inside. And the
wow.
poor guy was all over Las Americas, that mall over in
Yeah,
San
yeah.
Isidro, crying. This guy was crying, looking for his dogs, because he didn't care about the car. He didn't care about anything. He just wanted those dogs back. And I was sitting there crying with him, thinking, you are never going to get those dogs back. Like, you will never see them again. I mean, if those guys crossed to Tijuana, there is nothing you're never. He was like, I'm hoping they opened the door and they left them here somewhere. And I'm like, I doubt it. I don't think they're going to take the time to let the dogs get out of the car before they cross the border. And I just saw how dangerous it was. So when all of that started happening, and then a few years later, Trump comes down that escalator, I was all in. I was like, I'm in. I am 100% behind him. And that's how I got started in trying to make a difference in all of this. And I think you ran into one of my videos. But yeah, you're right. I'm very, very appreciative for America and everything America stands for.
Someone asked if you've ever met Trump or any of the Trump administration. I know Paloma has. So,
I wish, you know what? I wish before I die I could do that. It's, I mean, I would be so honored to do that. You know, at the minimum, go to Washington D.C. and stare at the White House there. You know.
we'll all meet there in D.C.
Yeah. Oh
Would it be
yeah, that
hard
would
for you
be.
to get to D.C.
No,
ever?
no, no. It's just me doing it. But for meeting Trump, oh my God, that would be. Oh yeah, that would be awesome.
Well,
Best thing.
maybe after this
Yeah.
interview, we can get the White House to recognize all your
I
work and
I told
invite
Paloma,
you
hey,
for
hook
a
me
meeting
up,
with
try to get
Trump.
me in there.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
to talk a little bit about some of the incidents that happened at the border, what some of the things that have happened to you? Have you had any scary situations or
Oh
anything?
yeah, most definitely. Like I said, my specialty there was, my interview techniques. Aside from catching a lot of people smuggling people through the vehicle lanes, pedestrian people committing fraud with fraudulent visas, fraudulent documents, false claiming to U.S. citizenship, etc. All kinds of stuff I ran into.
Don't they throw a
Drug
lot of their
smuggling.
documents away before they cross the border?
What was that?
They throw a lot of their documents away just before they cross the border, don't they?
Well, they it could be anything. I mean, they a lot of imposters. We call them imposters, which they would use other people's documents too, or they would, have fraudulent visas, false claim to U.S. citizenship, alien smuggling. It's a combination of everything. Drug smuggling. I encountered all kinds of stuff there. Yeah, and we had as we had the discretion of allowing people to come in, but if you're a U.S. citizen, we cannot deny you entry. We had to, yeah, but we would arrest you if you were a U.S. citizen committing some kind of a crime. You were arrestable too. So, yeah, so all kinds of people we ran into.
Oh
Yeah.
wow. And
Oh yeah. This
and
this doesn't stop. It's still going on. You know, the only difference is now that with the administration, the past administration, I think it got worse. Yeah.
I heard that they canned some people for not being lax enough. Did they can some border people? Get rid
Well,
of some?
if they can people at the border, it's because you are committing some kind of crime yourself. By letting people through uh, illegally, or selling your career to the cartels or whatever. Those are people that just commit crimes that defraud the government, and you are arrestable. You will get arrested. Yeah, for sure. Oh yeah, it did happen. I saw it many times with my coworkers that I used to work with. As a matter of fact, when I transitioned over to ICE, there were 4 of them that got arrested before I left for, you know, uh, illegal activity, committing crimes. So you will be arrested. Yeah, you're not
So they were
above the
helping
law.
getting some of the drugs across and people.
Well,
Huh?
yeah. Well, there were officers that would let drugs go into the country knowingly. Stuff like that. An example.
Hmm.
And it does happen with all the agencies, with all law enforcement agencies. It does happen. Bad apples are everywhere, as you know. Yeah, but we're
Someone
not immune from.
someone asked if you ever caught the same person more than once trying to cross the border.
Oh yeah.
You
Oh
catch
yeah.
him, kick him out, and he comes back.
Well, it depends with what we caught him or what was done at the border, because a lot of these, especially, well, if you were caught alien, we call it alien smuggling, illegal alien smuggling, you would be arrested on the spot, and your car would get confiscated, by the federal government, and that was a lot of paperwork also. But oh yeah, it depends on the crime.
Hmm.
If it's a small thing where you even false claiming to U.S. citizenship, it's a felony. You can't get arrested. Yeah.
Yeah.
But it depends what crime, is committed. Like if it's somebody with a visa, valid visa, and we catch them with documents in their purse with uh
Well, a lot of them overstay their visas, don't
well,
they?
not only that, they use a lot of social help from the United States that they're not allowed to.
A lot of
So if you're
government
caught with
money.
that in your person and you're a
And that
visitor,
is exactly one
you
of the
know,
things that I
you
saw.
cancel visas. Yeah.
Go ahead.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
yeah, taking advantage of the government,
Oh
Jaime,
yeah.
is one of the things
Yeah.
that I noticed years ago in California. And when I saw that, I saw where it was all headed, because the thing is that the system kept on allowing it. And not only that, but basically paying them to have children. And they started having children by the thousands. and now it's probably turned into the millions.
Yeah.
And that's what Trump eventually ended up calling anchor babies. And he's right. It was their biggest way, their best and biggest way to take over a country that they were just taking advantage of. Birthright citizenship was not meant for that. Birthright citizenship was meant to protect the children of the slaves back in, you know,
Yeah, exactly.
other
Yeah, so they
That's what
didn't
times.
it's
kick
meant
them
for.
out.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. And
give them
these
the
Right.
people
same
somehow
rights.
found a loophole in the system where, or, a fault in the system. Really, that's what it is, because
Cro-
the
Cross the river
birthright
and have a
citizenship is a
baby.
fault in the system. Huh?
They cross the river and have a baby. Then that anchors all the rest of the family there, right?
Yeah, and
Yeah.
not only that,
Yeah.
but Jaime, maybe you can explain to the audience how a lot of tourists with tourist visas, or people that live in Tijuana, even legal ones, they do that. They will get pregnant, and then right when they're about to have their kid, they cross the border, and then they end up having it in America, and then they end up living back in Mexico using America's welfare and America's benefits.
Not only that, a lot of these foreigners that had kids in the U.S., they had their kids attending public schools, which you are not allowed to do that. As a foreigner, you have to pay, but a lot of these people didn't pay and somehow
So,
went around that, and their kids were attending public schools for free. So if your parents are foreign born and you live in a foreign country, you have to pay, even though it's a public school. But a lot of them didn't pay and found a loophole and whatever. There was a lot of stuff going on like that too. Aside from social help documents that we found that they were getting, um, I encountered a lot of people like that. So it's still happening for sure. Yeah.
some are saying in the chat that they were collecting money under more than one name here in America.
Oh yeah, 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 yeah. They found a way to get that, or the actual government here being local, like state or county, they would just turn their heads, and be okay. We know you're a foreigner, you're foreign born, but we're still going to give you this. That happened too.
Well, they were using more than one name, collecting more than one time.
Yeah, exactly. But what I'm telling you is a lot of these. I suspect that a lot of these government officials, like state, county, city
They're getting
officials,
kickbacks.
they gave knowingly that they were foreign born, they still gave them the social help, which is not allowed. It's only for people from
Well,
the United
I've told this
States.
story before. I don't know if you remember this, Jerry, and if the
Go
audience
ahead.
remembers, but I met a woman in Tijuana in 2014. This is a year before Trump ran for president, where
Mhm.
she was at a bar in Tijuana and she was drunk. And she was screaming at the nightclub that she was helping scam the US government because she was a
Mhm.
social worker in the state of California.
There you go.
And I knew that they were taking advantage of the government and of the system, but with that day, it was about a year before Trump ran for president. I remember thinking, oh my gosh, here she is screaming, about this, and she's bragging about it. So if she's doing it, how many more social workers are actually doing this? Because I don't know if she was getting kickbacks. I'm sure there was some type of fraud that she was benefiting from. And
Yeah.
the reason why I knew is because she was wearing $2,000 shoes. She was wearing Gucci shoes. And she was bragging about her shoes and how she had all this money. And she's like, don't worry, I'm taking care of La Raza. I get them, I hook them up and all this stuff, right? And I was like, wow, this woman is openly bragging about committing fraud against America for these all these illegal aliens, basically, And
Mhm.
I mean, I remember crossing when I was a kid, and not with fraudulent papers. Okay, okay, Jaime.
No,
Yeah, yeah, I know.
No, 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 because you know how that woman always slanders me and claims that I've been
exactly.
falsifying my documents for the last, I don't know, since I was a kid, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
But anyway, I remember crossing since I was a kid, and it was so hard. It was different. It was
Way
hard to
different.
cross back then, and it started getting easier and easier and easier. And I don't know what changed. Like people started losing all respect for the border, all respect for America, and obviously, if it becomes a culture, because if it's a culture of law and order, all the agents and all the agencies are going to follow that. But once you start losing that respect,
Yeah.
once you start losing that culture, even, I mean, even you, I'm sure at times you felt completely helpless, Jaime. I'm sure,
Yeah,
you know.
frustrating. Yeah,
Yeah, especially during the Biden administration. Like,
especially
well,
during the Biden. Yeah,
especially
that,
during that, like, what am I supposed to do if I can't sit here and fight this entire system on my own, you know? And I'm sure a lot of agents were disillusioned the same way.
yeah,
And but I remember before you used to cross and they would ask you like, where are you going? And they would ask you for an address and they would ask you for a phone number. This is back in like the 90s, you know. um they would want an exact address, how long you were staying. They were very strict with your permit, you know, how you get those permits,
yeah,
whatever. And but then it all started changing. And then again, I remember during the Obama years, it was a joke. It was a joke, you know. But I mean, nowhere near with the Biden. But Obama was just, I mean, Biden was just an extension of Obama anyway. We all know that.
yeah.
But it was just like, especially,
What
you
kind
know,
of the phone?
yeah.
The
And
auto phone.
and then look at what they did as far as letting millions of them in over the last 5 years. I mean, wow, wow. And I don't know what would have happened unless Trump won again, you know?
Someone said something about did you have to deal with the ones with the green hats? The ones that thought they were lawyers that would go around and try to get people in, and they would get them in with the green hat guild, green guild. Do you know what I'm talking about?
No,
Oh,
like what
maybe
they're
Paloma dealt with the green hat ones, right?
Well, let me tell you what they were. They were called the
okay.
Lawyers Guild Association or something. And
Okay,
what
I know
they,
what you're talking about now. Yeah, yeah, yeah. You
yeah,
know what? These lawyers are, some of them are for the most part corrupt. I mean, I heard some real sad stories on that too. But anyways, aside from that, some people, I mean, no lawyer is going to overturn anything that we enforce. You know, they have to go through the system and whatnot. But a lot of people tried anything, you know, appeals using their lawyers. But these lawyers would come up and they can't do anything, you know, basically. But they tried, yeah. But it was not common at the port of entry. It was more common with ICE, you know, where they would go back to their lawyers, and but these lawyers are just as corrupt as they are, but they can't do anything. We will just tell them, hey, this is what the charges are. This is what it is. Sorry, you got to go through the court system. Bye. So that was it.
I thought they'd get in your face and
No,
claim.
no, 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 no. They can't be doing that. Oh no, we will
Uh,
regulate them because you can't go in
but
there
you
and
know what I
cause
saw
a scene. You know?
on the south side of the border, on the Mexico side of the border, Jaime. I don't know if you ever saw this, but you know, you remember Ben Berquam. He and I used to go out there and catch these people, helping the ones that were supposed to be the asylum seekers come up with stories so they could lie to the asylum
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
officers, right? So they could qualify for asylum, but they were training them on what to say because
Yeah,
obviously you
I
need to
do.
say
Yeah, yeah,
something very specific to be able to qualify for asylum. And so what they would do is they would have these notebooks and all these papers and everything. And so they would go around from family to family and they put families together, create these like fake marriages so
yeah,
that they would fool you guys whenever they would get to the border, you know. But also another thing that I wanted to point out about you was how, I mean, I remember you describing your job to me, and I thought, wow, this is so dangerous because Jaime was not only working obviously at the as we said at the port of entry, but he was also an agent arresting these guys whenever they came home from work or whenever they were about to leave their home or whenever they were, you know, on the street just in America anywhere, you know, or like in California. And those people are dangerous. I mean, we're talking about people that have killed multiple people, that have had multiple deportations, rapists,
yeah,
drug traffickers. I mean, you know, some of those people, they, if to avoid going to jail, they or to get deported, they'll do anything, you know. And so for anybody right now who is sticking up for them or who's backing them up, it's
yeah,
just sick because you guys are putting for years you were out there putting your life at risk. I mean, yeah, you have all your guns. I saw all your guns; they're amazing. You know, I went to a court with Jaime one time because I went to some one of these, you know, one of the people that have been bothering me. So we went to court, and I didn't even know Jaime had a gun on him. Okay, I had no idea.
yeah.
So we walk in and he walks in through a different door. And I'm like, wait, what? What's going on here? And I'm like, what did you say to these people? And then I realized, oh, it's because of your gun. And I just felt really protected, just so you guys know.
Oh
But
yeah.
but what I'm saying is that I know you're armed and I know you had, you know, a lot of everything, but just having to risk your life over these people that a lot of times could be armed. A lot of times they're sociopaths, they're psychopaths, they
Oh,
rape
Yes.
children.
Yeah.
I mean, and so that must have been probably, I mean, what was worse, that or working directly at the port of entry?
I think the worst of the worst was the recent stuff. The my as an agent with ICE,
Yeah.
because like you said, we didn't know if we were coming home or not. You know, you put that vest on and you walk out of the house and you don't know if you come back. And to be honest, I thank God that I'm alive, that I made it, because
Wow.
you never know. I mean, we got, as we're talking, like we were saying right now, we're dealing with big time felons, aggravated felons. You know,
Yeah.
some of them
and
murderers.
I
And
mean, we had the bad of the baddest. You know, to include gang members, anything, everything. But I'm just thankful that I made it and nothing happened. I don't even know why. Because when you stop a vehicle, when you go and make contact with, we call them targets.
Mhm.
You never know what can happen. You know, in an instant, in a second. So
Yeah,
I
You have
was
a lot
ready
because
to die. To be honest, I was ready to die because I mean I don't want to be dramatic, but because you have to have a mindset, right? Hey,
yeah.
you have a lot
I
of
may
white
die,
liberals running
not
interference too,
make it,
don't
but
you?
yeah, it's very. I mean, but the adrenaline is there, and after what we did, we went to breakfast. Right? It's like what just happened? You know, did we made
Wow.
it?
It all
So
happens so fast, right?
yeah, it's so quick and precise, but we made it, right? Because when everything happens so quick, and when we're done with work, we would go to breakfast, lunch, whatever, and then we're like, oh, what just happened? Shit. It was like, oh my God. Thankful we made it.
What would
Nothing
you
happened.
consider was like your most difficult or dangerous or challenging arrest in your 20 years?
My most challenging arrest, I think, anywhere from stopping a vehicle, but the most dangerous arrest is going into these houses. I hated going into these houses because these houses have a lot of hiding places. The risk of getting shot or getting, you know, jumped on is higher.
And you don't know how many are in there
So
either.
yeah, it's just you know, the surprise of you don't know what will happen or what you will find inside the house. That is the worst uh, of all, going into these houses. But for the most part, we try to, you know, like conduct traffic stops and get you in the vehicle or walking or even at work. You know, but yeah, that was the most challenging one, going into
Did you
houses.
have trouble with a warning that your ICE was coming to some of these groups and they'd be ready for you? You know, like they put it on the radio and these
Well,
liberals are
back
putting it on
then,
the web.
see, back then we were not splashed all over the news like now. You
Hmm.
know, so now I think it's even more difficult.
Yeah,
But
they
yeah,
know you're coming.
oh yeah, because now we're all over the news more than way back before. But
Yeah,
it could have still happened, yeah. But for the most part, we were very stealthy mode. You know, we had these unmarked police cars, but people would just make us out because that car, you know, people know what car belongs there and what doesn't. We had a lot of incidents where people would approach the vehicle and knock on your door and say, "Hey, what are you doing?" and get all fussy. But once they found out who we were, they would back off. Some wouldn't back off, and then we have to regulate it or deal with that. You
Wow.
know,
white
so there were
white
times where I
liberals are
was
the
parked.
worst. Yeah.
Oh yeah, yeah,
Do
it
they
can get
ever
crazy
do
any
they ever
second.
dox you and things like that? Try to find out where you live and
Well,
all
they
that.
would knock, right? Because they were nice people too, some of them for the most part. But when they knock and they were nice, I would tell them, don't ever approach a vehicle like that because you don't know who's inside the vehicle. Dial 911. Don't be
Hmm.
dumb. So,
No, I meant docs like try to find your address and track
oh
you
no,
down.
no, not that I know of. You know, I was never followed, but I was followed one time when I was at the port of entry, but not when as an ICE agent. I was never followed. No, but I did have eyes on my back somehow. Even
Wow. So
yeah,
you were followed while you
yeah.
were at the port of, tell us
Yeah, I
about
was
that.
followed.
Why?
Yeah, I was followed once. So, but as an ICE agent, not that I know of, I was never followed. But I was. I mean, you have to have your head in a swivel, as they say. You know, during work and off work. But the difference between being here in California and at the port of entry in Nogales, it's a smaller town. Everybody knows everybody, right? But you can't remember everybody, but people remember you. But
Yeah.
with California, it was a bigger state, bigger cities, bigger town. So it's rare that somebody would recognize you. but it can happen. But I was never followed, no, as an agent.
They didn't look up your address, your phone number. And all
I'm
that.
sure some people did, but as you
Okay.
know, everything is on the internet. But if you knock at my door at 3 a.m., 2 a.m., 1 p.m., 10 p.m., guess what? I'm going to be ready, right?
Yeah.
So, so yeah, it can happen, yeah. But I'm sure
Did you do a
people,
lot of drug busts at the border?
yes, yes.
Oh my
There
God,
was a
what
Good.
was
lot of
that
drug.
like?
There was a lot of drug interdiction. Yeah, that's one thing that has never stopped. Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. Drugs, everything. Yeah.
What was like the largest cargo, the largest
The
shipment
largest
you ever
cargo
caught?
I had was a guy that came through my vehicle lane, and I referred him to secondary.
Oh my gosh.
Uh, and his whole front bumper, where the radiator is, was loaded with cocaine. So what
Wow.
happened is, in secondary, he ran from secondary and tried to escape to the primary lanes. And I kind of turned around, and we all piled up on him and arrested him. That was a big load. It was a big bus right there with a lot of
Oh, no wonder why
cocaine.
you didn't like Oscar El Deportado so much, because you know exactly who he is.
Yeah, he's something else. Yeah,
Yeah.
sure. But yeah, yeah.
We hear he's now on the run after embezzling the $300,000. But you know, that's how criminals are. They never stop. They'll always find a way,
Yeah.
you know?
Oh
They
yeah,
always
that's
revert back to what they were before, that type
yeah.
of thing.
Well,
And
he
as
can't
you,
cross anymore, but I think he bragged about doing it 7 times before getting caught, until finally some German shepherds were the ones that caught him. So he doesn't like dogs, as far as I know, because the dogs are the ones that sniffed the car and finally caught him. I
but
think it was 7 times.
yeah, Paloma did tell me about this scumbag, and I don't know, because I ran into some videos where he was videotaping himself somewhere in Texas with a water whopper fast food bag, and so I knew he was inside the U.S., but I could never figure out how he came in, by what means. But I'm thinking he came in here illegally for sure, because this guy has
I think so too.
yeah,
I believe
because
he like used somebody else's
there's a
name or
record,
something.
and even if you say you're Bill Clinton or whatever, we run your prints, and your trade identity is going to come up here. It will never fail. I mean,
Can they pay off a border patrol agent just to let
I
you
mean,
over?
yes, it can happen for sure. Oh yeah, it does
Uh-huh.
happen. But I'm leaning towards the fact that he probably crossed illegally, but he has kind of slowed down a little bit on that. From what I see, I may be wrong, but Paloma knows more than I do on this
Yeah, we
scumbag.
haven't seen him back ever since we
Yeah,
exposed him on MSNBC.
I think he stopped, especially now. Hopefully, that Trump is in office, and hopefully the border is more secure and will be more secure, which it has been now, as you
Yeah.
know.
And we need
Yeah.
to warn Steve Bannon about this guy, because those guys never change, no matter how much coverage he does from either Mexico or
What
any
about
other
that? Hey,
country.
Paloma, what about that other guy, Anthony? Is it Anthony, right?
Anthony.
Yeah, he's still
Yeah.
out there, but I mean, he is allegedly a U.S. citizen,
Oh,
so
he is a U.S.
nothing can be
citizen,
done
right?
about
Yeah,
him,
yeah,
you
yeah,
know?
yeah. Yeah, he is. I forgot.
Yeah.
But
But
So,
Oscar, I mean, permanently deported, those people cannot get back in.
no, 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 no.
yeah,
Yeah.
I hear you on that.
So, as far as the because this is what really, like, I mean, obviously the border work, I've seen it with my own eyes for so many years. I think I've crossed that border in the last 20 years at least maybe a couple hundred times, and so I'm very familiar with it. I'm very familiar with protocol, with procedures, how psychologically trained you guys are, because you really are. You guys are like psychologists. You're analyzing
Oh,
people,
yeah,
and
yeah, 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 yeah.
you notice everybody's small
Yeah.
move, like every subtle move that people make, and which is amazing.
You,
But like, as far as the work out on the field, like, was there a time where you felt like what was the worst criminal that you think you've got over your 20 years?
well, the worst of the worst. I think I've arrested a guy that. What did he do? Oh, he set his wife on fire.
Oh my
Yeah.
God, oh
uh,
my God,
So I remember this case. No,
you see
hear this
next
out.
stuff
I
in
will never
England.
forget this
oh
case,
my
right? So
God.
we're waiting for this scumbag to roll out in his truck, right? And he does roll out. So me and my partner just, you know, start driving towards his vehicle, and we block him. So I get off my vehicle at gunpoint, And I go, hey, get off the car. And boom, he complied. So I get him back to the office, and I go, hey, I'm glad you were very cooperative. And you know what he said? Well, because you didn't give me a chance.
Yeah.
Oh
Like,
my
okay.
God.
So the element of surprise, I'm glad I used it, right? It was so quick at gunpoint.
That's why
If
now
not,
they're
And you
telling them
know,
what it will be is bad.
that's what I'm telling you. He said, if you would have given me time, or I didn't have time
Yeah.
to react
and
to
that, just so you
you.
guys know, that was a
Imagine.
nervous laugh of mine because I was not expecting you to
Yeah.
say that
That's what he said, and I'll
he
never
lit his
forget that.
wife on fire. I was expecting something
Yeah.
else. I wasn't
No,
laughing
yeah.
about it. I was just like, oh my God.
He set his wife on fire.
Now, what do you think of
Wow.
these judges letting all these people out
Oh,
all
these
the time?
judges are just as bad as the criminals are. They're all way to the left. They should get rid of them. Even within our own agency, they do exist, but these judges right now, I can't believe that they're interfering with a presidential, uh, uh, you know,
Orders and
in
stuff.
other words, they're trying to take over the White House. Or I'm like, hey, you can't be doing that. You don't tell the president what to do.
Right.
Yeah.
It's like it's all screwed up. I think they're scumbags too.
I
Back
mean,
when
they're
you deported
defending.
people back then, did you have to have trials like the Democrats
I,
want
I
8 million trials or something?
Well, not a lot of trials, but there were a lot of people that did fight their cases and filed appeals. So I was called to go testify every now and then, not too much, and they would lose
Yeah.
big time because it's a waste of time. It's like, hey, but some did want to fight their case. So I had to go to court and testify that blah, 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 blah. But it was not too much every now and then. So we had to go to San Diego, wherever their venue was or their jurisdiction was. Yeah, everything
I
was
cannot
crazy.
believe these judges are defending criminals to
Yeah,
like tooth
exactly.
and nail
So
because I mean, or think of the other ones that were aiding and abetting them running out of a courthouse so ICE
yeah,
wouldn't
I
get
saw that.
them. And
Yeah,
I mean, totally
I
blocking
don't
with
get
the
it. Yeah,
like interfering with the law.
yeah, they were arrested, and I guess they're pending charges.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, and they
So I'm
should be.
glad.
They
But if
should
that
be.
would have been during the Biden administration, that would have never happened as far as them getting held accountable. But I'm glad that Trump is in, and he's really now enforcing what we need to enforce. It's a
Someone
big
asked
difference.
if you ever worked in the Colorado area against those Venezuelan gangs to try to
No,
take them out of those
no,
apartments.
that happened when I retired. Well, that happened after I retired because I retired in 2023. So yeah,
Tell us
That group was
about
worse, right? Go
what
ahead.
was that?
That
Jaime,
group was worse. The Venezuelan group, right?
I'm so sorry, I didn't make out what you said.
The Venezuelan group, they're the worst, aren't they?
Oh yeah, that's one part of these gang members. They're not only Venezuelans. There's other gang members, organizations that are running amok right now that we don't know of. But what I can say now is I'm glad that our hands are not handcuffed. And these agents now are busier, and they're going to get arrested. I have faith that it will be, good now, better.
Paloma, you had a question?
yeah, tell us about how you've seen the agents, their attitude or their morale change ever since they found out Trump would be back in.
Well, I talk to them every now and then. They still call me. But when I was still working with them and during the Biden administration, the morale was just horrible. And once again, I keep repeating myself, it's the worst time of my career. Everybody was down. I mean, I didn't even believe that this was America, to be
Wow.
honest. That who are we? It was that
Wow.
bad. But today, now, it's a 360. It's big time. The morale's up. It's a different environment, and everybody's happy. As I say, I wake up happy every day myself.
Yeah, because you
So
guys are
yeah,
able to do your job and
yeah,
you're
yeah, yeah,
able
yeah,
to
yeah.
do what you signed up to
Yeah.
do.
There's so much there was so much red tape. It was not even funny. Because in other words, we had to ask to do our job, even though we legally, that's what we were trained to do. It was horrible, horrible, horrible. But
What were the
I will never
major
forget that.
changes that you noticed in 2020 when Trump left and Biden came in?
The major changes when Trump came in, you said?
No, when Biden came in after
Oh
Trump.
no, it was like hell. It was hell for everyone. We didn't. I didn't even want to get up and go to work. For what?
Wow.
It was that bad, and I'm not exaggerating. Anywhere from ICE agents, Border Patrol, CBP, everybody, including DEA, ATF. It was the poison spread. The cancer was everywhere. It was
Oh my God.
they were the worst years of my career, to be honest. Yeah.
That is horrible. So it
So
spread quickly. So like, did you feel it right away, or was it within a few months, or how exactly
I
did that?
We felt it right away, to be honest. As soon as he came into office, it shit went downhill, as they say, and it trickled really quick. Yeah.
Oh
Oh
wow.
yeah, it was just bad. Yeah.
Yeah, I remember just the lines when he was in office. They were huge because so many people were just coming in, taking advantage,
Yeah.
doing whatever they wanted. And
Not not o-
recently,
not only that, the amount of people that came in, I was just with my mouth open. It's like, what is this?
how can
It
you
was.
process that many that fast?
Yeah, because I never seen it this bad. As an immigration officer previously, and as an ICE agent, this is the worst of the worst that I've seen. And I'm not the only one to tell you this. I mean, what purpose did it serve to have officers at the port of entry when you have the border wide open? With no security, with no enforcement, with nothing. And it's just sad to see that. But
yeah, of course.
Was there
once again,
suicide an issue after that?
what's that?
Was a lot of people committing suicide after that? That border
No,
patrol?
I didn't see that, you know. No, not that I know of, and I'm glad we held on. Not to say that it could not happen somewhere else, but we never heard of that, no. And I'm glad we were strong and held, and we were kind of like, optimistic that Trump was going to win. And we were praying that Trump was going to win again. So that kind of
Wow.
held us together, that there was still hope.
There was a light at the end of the tunnel.
Yeah, and the light came on when he got reelected, right?
Mm.
So that's
Now
what
the
kept us.
boards are Kami Harris. If she
Yeah.
had gotten in,
Oh
you
shit.
think it would have gotten even worse?
Oh, twice as worse. Yeah.
Wow.
Oh yeah. So that kept us strong and patient, and God, thank God, that it went the other way.
That must have been a huge,
Oh,
huge,
ooh,
huge win for you guys. Huge
yeah.
relief for all of you.
And back to do what we loved to do.
Getting up
Um,
with pride and
someone
Oh yeah, wanting to go
yeah,
to work,
wanting to go to
and
work.
catch
someone
a
asked if it
scumbag.
was different dealing with each governor. Because Texas probably was stronger on the border than say Arizona or
I think the
California.
previous California governors were not perfect, but they were better than Newscom right
Yeah,
now.
yeah.
So that's my take in this. I mean, going back to what I was saying, California has turned into. I mean, I've never seen it this bad with California either. From political wise to the economy, it's just bad. Yeah, and I think politicians, as you know, and I know, and everybody knows, they destroy everything. Bad politicians, and that's what's been happening with Newscom. Yeah.
What do you think of sanctuary cities?
Oh
No,
my God!
it's
Don't even get me into that. Way back when I first got hired as an ICE agent, the camaraderie was so nice, positive with local agencies like the local sheriffs, local police.
they arrested
We
someone.
worked
They didn't want.
together, and we
Mhm.
used to work anti-gang operations, at night, and that was awesome. But once politics came in, the bad politics, they were prohibited from working with us or us working with them. So it was bad. And a lot of these sheriffs, a lot of these local police departments, they were frustrated just like we were, because they were told, hey, don't cooperate with ICE, don't call them, don't. So everything went down the drain, with that. Yeah. And to this day, I mean, it's getting a little better with Trump, but with the local politicians here, I don't think it's going to get any better yet. But it's been really bad for the
And
past couple of.
California has been turning a lot more
Oh
red,
yeah,
and we're
yeah,
hoping that it will continue to
yeah.
one day completely turn red, especially with everything that's gone on over
I
the last couple years, you know?
Yeah, that's what they say,
If
that it might turn red, but I don't know. But there's hope. Well, there's
if you
hope.
had to show ID when you go to vote, it would change a lot in
I
California.
know. That's another thing that I don't get. No
All the
ID.
states that Trump won were the ones where you had to show voter or an ID, did not necessarily voter ID. All the states that Kamala Harris won were the blue states where you don't have to. They're
That's
voting
okay.
several times. Do you
That's
think there's
okay.
the illegals voting?
Oh yeah, most definitely. Oh yeah, most
So
definitely. There are illegal aliens voting for sure. Oh yeah, and that's one thing that I will never get. As they ask for ID for everything, but to vote they don't. It's like that's nuts.
Yeah, you know how difficult it is to vote in places like Mexico. I mean, in
Yeah,
Mexico, you
yeah.
have to go through so
Provide
much just to be able to get a voter ID. And not
exactly.
only that, but once you go to vote, it has to match your fingerprint. It has to match your picture. It has to match your signature. I mean, it's unreal
Yeah,
everything that you have to go through in Mexico to vote. And yet in America, they just basically allow anybody to come in and vote.
yeah, as many times as you want. There was some videos out there of some people bragging they were voting, 30, 40 times. They were just going to different polling places all day. They'd
Yeah.
spend going to the
well, as
different
you
ones.
know, dead people were voting, as you know.
Yeah. Well,
So
some 2 million in California, I think, are still. There's people voting on the voter rolls in California that were born like before 1800.
yeah, yeah,
So, like they're
yeah.
200 and some years old, and they're still
That's another
voting.
one.
I
The
want to live this
vote.
longer, but so.
So it
But
does
the
happen. Oh yeah,
Paloma's, I'll try. I'll make it halfway there at least, probably. So
but
she's good on the health issues for sure, no doubt about it. Yeah. So you guys have met up. Have you ever gone to the border together since you met? Did you ever do anything at the border, Paloma, and you?
We've been to San Diego. Like I said, we one time we went to San Diego. We went to the just downtown San Diego to the court and some to the passport office. I remember that. Um, and because I was back, this is back a few years back, but no, we haven't really gone to the border. But I I do remember talking to him a lot about his job and seeing his vest, and I just thinking, wow, because he did tell me back then that every time he walked out the door, he didn't know if he was coming home. And I remember thinking, wow, this is a big deal. It's because I mean, I know with police officers it's the same way, but
yeah,
this
they
is an
belong.
everyday risk of dealing with
That's
high
crazy.
end criminals. That somebody who has killed once will kill again if especially when cornered. And so that really always stuck with me. Him telling me different stories and stuff like that, and seeing his uniform and all that. So um, I would love to. I mean, like I said, I've spent a lot of years over at the border, so I know a lot of the things that happen. But I would definitely love to learn more about their job, because it's obviously right now, especially what's the most important in America, protecting the borders.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Were
and
you?
I always said this. Nowadays, a 15-year-old boy will shoot you and go to bed like nothing happened.
Yeah.
That's how it is right now.
Yeah. Have you
Yeah,
seen what's been going on in Mexico over the last like 2 weeks? We had not two elected officials, but we had two, what do you call it? They were the secretary and counselor or something
yeah.
of
I
an
think I
elected
seen that on
official.
the news. Yeah,
Yeah, just shot cold blood in Mexico City. Then we had that other woman in Guadalajara that was killed at her salon. A couple days ago, one of the drug women in Tijuana, she was shot. I guess they didn't kill her, so they went into the hospital dressed as nurses,
yeah.
and
I
they
saw
finally
that
killed
video
her at
too,
the
Paloma.
hospital.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just and so that's why I always fear for you guys' life, because I've seen these arrests. I've seen what happens at the border. Did you hear I think it was last week or the week before, they shut down the border because a guy was just running towards California from Tijuana, and they completely shut down the border.
Yes, yes. I saw the video. He
They
was
killed
going
him.
into Tijuana, right?
Oh, he was going into Tijuana. Sorry. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, and
And
they
they killed
stopped
him.
him at gunpoint, and the guy
Yeah,
would not come out.
yeah.
And I guess something went down where he got shot and died right there.
Yeah, yeah, he was. I guess they were chasing him since
Yeah, yeah,
since LA, I think, or
yeah,
something. I mean, can you imagine
yeah.
how many people he put in danger on a
Oh
high
yeah, yeah,
speed
yeah.
chase like that?
I think he shot himself or something, or I can't remember the outcome of that. But yeah, I saw the video.
Yeah. Well, I
Here's
mean, it's a dangerous job for sure. I've seen one of the agents during just a small arrest. It wasn't even anything all that big. I mean, his fingers were broken within seconds, and I was just like, "Wow!" I mean, it's not even sometimes about getting shot or any. I mean, just can you imagine, like you're trying to just arrest someone, and suddenly his like three fingers in his hand were broken, and it was just
Yeah, I saw that. Yeah,
wow. This is this is your job, and for the government to be the one interfering with it, it's just unreal, you know.
I won't forget one arrest I had in at the port of entry. This guy ran through the southbound lanes illegally, right?
Mhm.
And I kind of like stopped him right there through the pedestrian area, and I grabbed him right, but I couldn't get him down to the ground. So a lot of officers from the vehicle lanes ran towards me to help me get this guy down and handcuffed. And I won't forget this. We were like six of us or five of us trying to get this guy down on the ground to handcuff him. I think this guy was high on something. It was
Yeah.
like Superman. And I'm like, took us, I think,
That means they
close to
don't feel
two
any.
minutes to get this guy down on the floor. And there were six
Yeah,
of us. Finally, we cuffed him. But what I'm trying to get at is these guys are high at times. They're high on drugs, and you don't know what they're gonna do. And they have this retard strength that it's like incredible. But
Yeah.
that's another risk that you take. That these guys might just they'll do anything. But they're so high and strong that oh my God! So, but
They're on
finally,
fentanyl.
well, fentanyl back in the days didn't exist, but he must have been high on some kind of substance. But I won't forget this guy, man. I mean, it took us a while, six of us, to get him down, but finally, yeah.
So Harris has come on this channel, and he did something with Trump people where they went undercover and they caught them trafficking a lot of kids for sex trafficking in Florida. He was wondering if you what do you think of Trump and what they're doing now? They're catching a lot more that are trying to get little kids across the border. They're catching them now. Before they were letting them come through.
I mean, this is nothing new, but it's more now because of all the influx, all these people that came in. Uh, I am so happy that this has not stopped as far as arresting these scumbags. I think when kids are involved, it's more serious in my book. It's really, I mean, kudos to these agents that do their work and encounter these criminals that involve kids, because it's the worst of the worst. I mean, it does impact us as agents because we're all humans, right? But that's the worst part of my career, dealing with kids, seeing kids get involved. So I'm happy that Trump is regulating is about law and order now. I'm happy that it's going on right now. They need to stop these people for sure. Yeah.
Well, the number I'm hearing is 87,000 kids have been rescued so far, and there's probably another 300,000 at least.
Well, if that's what the numbers are saying, it could be, but I believe to a point that it may be true because of all the people that came in, through the open border uh, thing that happened with the past administration, and there's more to come. It's not going to end. I mean, unfortunately, talk about job security. On these issues when kids are involved, it's the worst of the worst. And I hope they get all of them, but it's a lot of people, and it's going to take years, I think, to kind of clean up the mess. If it's cleaned up, which I hope, and I'm glad it's getting kind of that they're trying to clean it up. Yeah,
No, they put a dent in it and put them on notice
yeah,
and that. So someone says they still need to build more border wall because Arizona doesn't
I
have that much
agree.
wall, right?
I agree. They need to build more, and they need to reinforce the rest of the border fence because a lot of that is too old, too fragile now. They may just tear it down with a push with a vehicle or whatever. But for now, I think it needs to be extended for sure. And
Did
that's
you
good
ever
for me.
see those water stations in Arizona where they were putting water out there
Oh
for
yeah,
illegals to
yeah,
come across?
yeah.
Did you ever have to deal with those areas?
No, 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 no. That would be no. I never dealt with that. It was mostly border patrol. Yeah,
Oh, okay.
that dealt with that. Close to the border.
Okay.
So we never. I mean, we could have been detailed with them to do that, but I never did.
Oh,
No, no, no.
because I
David,
don't know how
tell
many.
them about the people that use children because I've seen this during some of my crossing. I've seen people like women trafficking or doing things and they use children. Did you ever have to encounter any of that?
I did encounter a couple of women that, yeah, yeah, for sure. They put drugs in their diapers,
Oh my gosh.
all kinds of stuff. Yeah, this is nothing new. Yeah, of course I did encounter that. Oh yeah, yeah, yeah,
Wow. And
yeah.
their
I've
I
diapers?
heard of
mean,
them making them swallow stuff and then they get it out in
yeah.
poop later.
Even documents, they would hide documents in their diapers.
Wow.
But not only
What kind
that,
of documents? What do you mean?
like documents from where they were getting social help, food stamps, uh,
Oh, okay.
other documents that they smuggled for other people, like birth certificates. You know,
Oh.
yeah. And
False documents.
there's a funny story where there was a guy that came up to the vehicle lane, and a coworker of mine, you know, goes, "Hey, open up the glove compartment." So he opens up the glove compartment, and there's a pair of eyes in there. There was a person
Oh my
hidden
God.
in the, yeah. In other words, there was a person being smuggled, inside the vehicle through where the front end of the car. You open up the glove compartment, you see a pair of eyes. It's like somebody's in there. So somebody was in there, yeah. So all kinds of methods that they used. People were in the trunk hiding, underneath seats. Yeah. On top of
But
that.
do they ever threaten you when you catch them or try to buy you
No,
off?
no, no. I never got threats. There were just people that were upset, mad, and I'm gonna sue you and I'm gonna do this. But as far as threats, no, because if you do make threats, you're liable. You can get charges for that. Yeah.
What was
Did
the
ever,
most creative human trafficking that you saw as far as like
that's
the
good.
pollos and
Good
stuff?
question.
Well, the guy that was smuggled in through the
Glove
front of the
compartment?
car where the steering wheel's at, where you open up the glove compartment, and a pair of eyes were there.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
What was there?
You didn't catch that, I don't think. Where there was a person smuggled, where the steering wheel was, and on the front end of the car. So when you opened up the glove compartment, a pair of eyes were there.
Oh, they
Okay,
were inside there.
I have to share a story with you guys,
Yeah.
and this is why one of the reasons why I really love the agents because they have a completely different. I really love the agency, just so you guys know,
Yeah.
because it's one of the agencies that I really feel that, and I don't feel the same with the police, just so you guys know. I really feel that you guys really do your job and just do your job. That's how I feel. That's what I've experienced my whole life. Let me tell you what happened one time. Now that you bring up that smuggling of that pollo behind the steering wheel. Okay,
Oh yeah.
I I was moving in Tijuana from one shelter to the other. And while I was moving, I lost one of my cats. But I knew I didn't. I said, there's no way this cat got out. I know I put him in the car. It was a hot day. It was August. And I knew I put my cat in the car somewhere, right? Anyway, long story short, the cat is missing. The cat is gone. Okay. And I have to go to school and I'm about to cross the border, whatever. So when I get to the border, listen to this, Jaime. Think of what you would have thought of me if you see this crazy woman approaching the border, right? I approach the booth, right? And I tell the agent, I know you're gonna think I'm crazy, but I need you to X-ray my car. And he looked at me like, yes, you are crazy. And I was like, he was like, what? He was like, no, I can't do that. I need you to X-ray my car. And he was like, I can't do that unless I find you suspicious of
Yeah.
something.
Probable
And he's like,
cause.
what's going on? I said, I lost my cat. He was like, oh my God.
Wow.
I said, I swear to God, he's in the car. And if you don't X-ray my car, my cat is going to die because he's feral. And I am going to, and he's going to die somewhere. Right. Anyway, he looked at me. Oh, I swear, Jaime, he was turning red. Like he was kind of getting mad. I don't know what he was doing. He was like, okay, fine. And then he
Oh,
writes out the piece of paper, the orange piece of paper, right?
referred you to
And he
second.
sends me to secondary. He's probably never seen anyone so happy to go to secondary. Here I am jumping up and down because I'm going to secondary inspection, right? So I go through the X-ray lane. You know how you get out of the car and
Yeah.
they one of the agents drives the car through the X-ray machine, and he's like, "Ma'am, we found a cat."
Are you serious?
Oh my God, they found a cat behind the steering wheel,
Oh
just
shit!
like your pollo, right? Pollo
Wow.
means illegal immigrant, guys, just so you
Yeah.
guys know. And he looked at, and then so he called the other agent over. He was like,
Wow.
because he wrote it on the piece of paper, like she's looking for her cat, and she might be crazy, you know.
Yeah.
And so they find the cat, and they're all looking at me like, "Oh my God, you were right." I said, "See, I told you. If you guys wouldn't have X-rayed my car." But see, here's the thing. Their attitude was, even though they were going against protocol, because they were, this, they were going against protocol. I mean, technically, I can't tell them what to do and X-ray my car, right?
Oh.
But he was human. He
Oh
was human
shit.
enough to look at my face and be like, "She's really truly concerned for her cat." So anyway, they got tools. They helped me get him out because I couldn't get him out on
Wow.
my own without choking him. I don't know how the hell the cat got in there underneath the steering wheel, I guess, right? And
Wow.
so I had like 3 different agents helping me, like get all the whatever
Yeah.
all the plastic stuff out and everything.
Yeah.
Finally, we got him. We put him in the kennel, right? And I was like, I am so thankful to you guys. I've had this cat for 4 years. He still doesn't let me grab him, but I just ended up taking him to California with me. But they were so nice, and that's what agents are supposed to be. That's what police officers, law enforcement officers are supposed to be. And honestly, I've never ever ever had a bad experience with. I mean, one time, this is years ago. I think the dogs smelled my dogs. Right, I had my on one of my older SUVs, and I did get sent to secondary and stuff, and they were like sniffing the car, but it was because of the dogs, right?
Mhm.
And so finally, they actually broke something in the car, but then once they got done, they were like, "Oh my God, we're so sorry, but this is what we have to do because the dogs, like, they smelled something." But it turns out that it was just, I guess, the smell of my dogs because I had different dogs and stuff,
You did.
and
Yeah.
and so anyway, that was that. But they were really, really like respectful. Like I said, I can't say the same for California police, at least, because I like Texas police, I like Arizona police, but California police can be really awful sometimes. But especially LAPD. But the agents, I just really feel like you guys love your jobs, and if as long as you're allowed to do it the way it's supposed to be
Yeah.
done, you really love what you do.
Oh yeah. Oh, yeah. That does
Yeah,
help when we're allowed to do what we need to do. Yeah.
yeah.
Somebody asked you, did you ever have to do a high speed chase?
I did not too much, but we had a policy where we were told that what do you consider a chase? It was a big fuss about that, but um, we try not to get involved in these high speed chases. But every now and then we would kind of like not extreme high speed chase, but we would get to the point where we were block cars, before actually they gunned it for sure. But we had a lot of techniques of stopping these people before it got worse. So we did. It
Usually, if
was
they ran, is because they were desperate,
well,
right?
yeah, yeah. I mean, we planned out what ifs, so we were ready for that. I mean, so we try to stop that, and the way we stopped it at times is we blocked these vehicles from the front, from the side, from the back. We had a technique, so yeah.
Oh, okay. And then probably if they did run, they were throwing drugs out the window so you wouldn't catch them.
Not really. I never saw that, but
Hmm.
I mean, we caught guns inside the vehicle, drugs. But as far as me seeing them kind of throw stuff out, but we were very visual, very on top of we try to be on top of everything. Yeah, yeah. So
Someone
and
asked
every
about,
scenario is different. Every stop is different. Every scenario is different. Like if we were after a murderer, we were not going to knock on his door and get off the car. We were going to go full blast with guns drawn, get out of the car, right? So every scenario is different. So on top of that,
someone asked what Fast and Furious did to you, where they let everyone have those guns across the border.
no, Fast and Furious happened way back before I got hired as an agent.
Didn't it
That was
cause
the
a lot
worst.
of
Yeah,
a lot of guns to be in the
that was the
theater.
worst operation that they ever conducted, and they should have put these
People
people
in jail for that.
Yeah, how can you conduct an operation like that? You know, releasing weapons to these criminals, thinking you're going to get them back. It's like, no. What mindset was that? I don't ever forget that. That was the worst.
What was that? I don't even understand the concept of why they were doing that.
Well, how they did it, I'll never understand.
Yeah,
Why?
there were like
It's
unmarked guns and stuff.
No matter what, you're arming criminals, and you think they're going to be nice and give you the guns back when we're done? But that happened way back. So, I mean, people should have been arrested right there.
Oh yeah, because
Government.
I guess some border agents got shot because
One
of
got
those
killed,
guns.
yeah, with one of the weapons that was used during the operation. Yeah, that was.
Plus, it made your job more dangerous. I'm sure.
Oh yeah, they screwed up that operation. I mean, it was bad. It was really bad. Yeah.
Wow.
And it cost the life of an agent, you know, because as you know, they shot him right there at the border with our own gun.
Yeah,
It's like,
ones that we gave away for free too. Should at least made some money for it or something.
Fast and Furious. Oh man.
Yeah. So
what was that guy's name? The one that was the director of that was part of that. What was that guy's name? That
drawing a blank right now.
Oh my God.
Which one?
You know?
The guy that was in charge of that operation, the government official, that was head of the Department of Justice back then. What was his name? God, man.
You're not talking about the lady that had Parkinson's.
No. It was a male. He was in charge of the Department
Because
of Justice.
they had the other thing in Texas where they burned down the church people that were all in the one thing there and took their guns too.
Yeah.
I forgot the name of that too. When I'm getting old.
Fast and Furious. Oh my! That was a botched operation from the.
So you probably had agents talk about that stuff.
Was
Oh
it?
yeah.
Was it some Bukasi guy?
No. What was his name? Oh my God.
The director of maybe someone in chat will come up with it. But Eric Holder.
Eric Holder. There you go.
Yeah, someone in
That's
chat gave
scumbag.
it to us.
Eric
Thanks, Alan.
Holder. Yeah. And he was in contempt of court. He never showed up. He was subpoenaed. They never did anything.
Yeah, they don't
He
that
was
stuff
subpoenaed to go to testify.
because the media
and
won't push him.
and he never did. And they never did anything.
Waco.
He got away with crime.
Waco was the other thing. The whole thing with Waco too, that they went after that family that had their own compound and everything and stuff like that, and they burned it down and killed the people there.
Couldn't remember that scumbag.
Eric Golder, yeah, he was totally supplying the other side with that. Thanks, Alan, for both of those. Thanks, Colin, too. So I'm sorry, I'm looking over here a lot. I'm looking at one of the other screens, and then up here on this one for a couple of the places where comments are coming in. So yeah, so you're probably glad you got out. Would you ever do it again if you?
I would do it
Trump's
again.
now.
I would do it again, and I have no regrets.
Yeah,
I loved what I did, and I thank God that I'm sitting here talking to you guys, because it's a crazy world now.
This must feel weird, right? To be doing an interview about it after so many years.
I'm grateful that I'm sitting here and talking to you guys because, I look back and I'm like,
so many chances of you getting hurt, right?
Yeah, I could have gotten shot, killed, hurt. I'm not trying to be dramatic, but that's just part of your career.
Yeah.
But I loved what I did. I have no regrets. I would do it all over again. Yeah.
Did you ever have to get in any real scuffles with any of them?
Oh yeah, I have stories on end. Yeah.
Give us a couple examples.
Well,
like usually you had at least 2 or 3 agents always, right? But sometimes they have more than one. Huh?
We were waiting for this guy to come in to his house, right? So he comes in, he gets off his car, and I approach him like, hey, I'm trying to play like he's not the target. He's like, hey, man, I want to talk to you, blah, blah, blah. So my other coworkers come in to assist. By that time, he starts running, right?
He knew right away.
Towards the house to get in the house. So we're running after him. So he grabs the knob of the door where he's trying to get in, but somehow he couldn't open it. And my buddies are grabbing his arm, right? So I go, hey, if you don't let go of this doorknob, I'm going to tase you. So he doesn't care, right? So I pull out my taser. I give him the voltage. So he lands on the ground and he's still scuffling. So I give him another jolt of juice. So finally, we subdue him, handcuff him, and take him to the car. And he goes, "That really hurts." Well, yeah, I mean, you just don't want to comply, and that's what's going to happen. But there's many stories. I mean, a lot. There was one guy where he ran, and I happened to grab the you know where your belt goes through, right? The on your pants, that loop where your belt goes through. Somehow I grabbed him, and he was skinny, right? So I raised him like a fly and landed him on the ground. And he did comply later on, but oh yeah, there's a lot of people that resist, you know. Not too many, but there are a few. But you have to be ready. You have to be ready. There are a lot of guys that become dramatic, start yelling, right? So there was a guy we took out. He starts yelling outside the vehicle. We got him pinned on the vehicle, trying to cuff him, and he starts yelling, "Mom, help!" Waking up the neighborhood. So I go, if you do not shut up, if you do not quiet down, I'm going to taser you. And he quiets down. So that was a good deterrent.
I've seen some that get
awesome.
tasered and they still somehow fight through it.
That taser, oh yeah, well, it depends, right? Some people fight through it, yeah. But you know, for the most part, it does work, and it's a great deterrent. Yeah, I loved that taser. Yeah,
threaten it, and then
yeah, because once they saw that, once you go to the vehicle or whoever you come in contact with, they see the taser. It's like, oh shit, you know, it's like, hey, you can't get tased, right? So it was a great deterrent. But there's many stories. Oh my God.
While you were at the port of entry, what was like the guy that resisted arrest the most? Like, what was the most dangerous thing at the port of entry?
The one guy I was telling you that took 6 of us to subdue him and handcuffed him, that was the worst one. Because he would not go down. Like, he had retard strength. I don't know from where, but I think he was high on something.
Heroin, probably, right?
Something. But this guy was, oh my God, that was the worst one. We couldn't get him down.
Oh my gosh.
I mean, it took us, I think.
He had to have been on drugs.
Yeah. I think a little over a minute and a half to subdue him with 6 of us on top of him.
During your time at the border, at the port of entry, did you see any of them ever get killed?
What's that?
At the port of entry, did you see any of them ever get killed?
No.
Oh, okay.
No, we had close calls. As a matter of fact, our port of entry got shot at from the Mexican side, from the hills.
Oh my gosh!
Every now and then there were bullet holes on the building. Yeah.
Wow.
Did you ever see anyone dead just over the border, one side or the other? Just find people that have been killed on either side of the border?
Well, let me take that back. As I was coming in to start my shift at the port of entry, there was a gathering around the train, because the train did go through there from the Mexican side into the U.S. side. So as this train was coming in, somehow an illegal alien was on it and fell, and he got killed. He got cut in half.
I've seen plenty of trains loaded with people.
So that was one. And I mean, we took pictures. We were there looking at the body, but he was cut in half. You know, it was unfortunate. But it was not a lot. It was not as often that happened, but it did. Yeah, that was one. Yeah.
Wow.
Anyone else in your family do this?
No, I was the only one. The only one.
How did you get involved? Like, not how did you get involved, but how did you decide you wanted to become an agent?
This is the thing, and this is the thing. When I was 10 years old in my bed, I dreamed of being in the military, of being a police officer. Yeah, and I stuck to it, and somehow it was in my blood, it was in my brain, and I did it.
I bet you the military training helped you by the time you became ace.
I'll never
agent.
You know what? The training in the Marine Corps, oh my God, it was the hardest thing that I ever went through, but I made it. And they say if you can make it through the Marine Corps boot camp, you can make it through anything. But it was a good it was good training. Both mentally.
What years were you in?
What's that?
In the 80s? Were you in the 80s or 90s?
I went in 87 and was out in 91.
My brother was in just before the Gulf War and during the Gulf War, so that would have been
the Gulf War
just slightly behind you.
Yeah. So.
Okay.
Yeah,
he was in the Marines. He went over to the Gulf War, but he was in communications, so he was on the Saudi side.
I will never forget boot camp. Never in my life until I die, for sure. Yeah.
Got you in shape, huh?
Oh man. Oh God. And back then, they could put hands on. They could push you, butt you, push you, hit you with their hand back then. Now they can't, but still, it's still hard. It's really hard. I remember I
It's
got
kind of a
oh,
psychological training as well
oh,
as
just the psychological. Not only that, I got choked by a DI. They call them, the trainers were called DIs, drill instructors. One of them grabbed me by the throat. I was 18. He
well,
grabbed me by the throat, slammed me against the wall. I thought I was going to die. I was 18.
Wow.
But it's just, to make you strong, it's a purpose. But
mentally too, because if you
oh,
ever become a prisoner of war,
mentally and physically.
I've heard stories of what they do
And
to
your
people.
body gets so stressed that you start snapping bones.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah, it does happen. Your body starts breaking down. But hey, I made it, so I was happy.
But
No
that made you
regrets.
tougher for later in life.
Yes. Yeah. Mentally, physically. Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
Some of the physical beating up on you is to get you ready mentally
For combat. For
combat. Yeah.
Combat ready. What it is, because the Marines are the first ones to go in. And they were just, because they say if you don't survive boot camp, you'll never survive in a combat zone.
Is there a big dropout rate in your time?
It was a little dropout, yeah, where people gave up, and they would come in and arrest them and take them to the brig and discharge them. It did happen a lot, yeah. Actually, we were qualifying with the rifles, right? So I guess one of them gave up and starts running in the middle of the range. Luckily, he didn't get killed.
Would he just lose it?
Yeah, he lost his mind.
Wow.
So they came in, arrested him, and took him.
Well,
yeah.
I guess he was. That was done. So I don't know. I bet you learned how to swim pretty good.
Oh yeah, for sure.
The Marines do definitely a lot of swimming.
They don't care. They'll just throw you with a bunch of bags on a backpack and a rifle,
and throw you in the pool and make you come out.
You will learn how to swim if you don't. If you don't know how to swim, you're going to learn right now. And you know what? People learn.
Yeah, I hear you on
so
that.
I recommend you learn how to swim before you go in, because oh my God.
Well, hopefully,
I knew how to swim.
Like my brother and I and all that, we did a lot of sports before that helps you get partway there. Yeah. For the run, you have to do. What do you have to run a mile in 7 minutes or less or something like that?
Oh man, it was
and that's with stuff on you too, right?
It was rough, but actually, when I graduated from boot camp, I remember on the plane, right, leaving to go home, and I felt like I was in a dream. I was like, "Am I in a dream?" It's like, oh my God!
They got him out of there.
And there was a girl next to me, and oh, I like your uniform. Can I buy you a beer? I was like a robot, right? I never got her name, never got her phone, nothing. I just, okay. But you're so like, oh my God.
So used to being in service.
Yeah, like a robot like this.
Just answer yes and no and all that kind of stuff, right?
So I remember those days.
It took
so your brother was in the Marine Corps?
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah, see, he was in communications.
Yeah.
And in that. So he didn't end up going across the Saudi border into Iraq or anything like that. During that, he was in just before that, actually. Then shortly after that, he was down at a camp in North Carolina, and he had his motorcycle down there, and someone hit him while he was on a motorcycle, and he broke his leg. So so the last 6 months he couldn't really do anything.
And the thing is, by the time the Persian Gulf War started, I had traveled all over the world. So if I go here, I go. At least I traveled. I was ready for it. But I was in Kuwait. So what happened there is
some of them are nuts there, aren't they?
Oh yeah, we got shot at with Scud missiles. So luckily, we intercepted a lot of them, before they hit, but just being there.
I think they called those the Patriot missiles to take them down.
Yeah,
to take them down with the Patriot missiles, right?
Yeah,
Patriot system.
So they were Scud missiles, but just being in a combat zone is just, oh my God, out of body experience, because you smell death, and death is just in front of you, right here in your face, and so it's just a different experience that I'll never forget. I've been scared so hard in my life, that nothing else will scare me now. But it's just an experience,
Well,
and I
some of them
survived.
you have to worry. They'll be real nice, and then you turn out that they're really want to blow themselves
Yeah,
up around you and stuff like
yeah.
that.
I thought I was
So,
gonna die. To be honest, I thought I was gonna die there, and not make it back. But
because they're that
luckily, I
crazy,
did.
some of them, right?
Oh yeah.
They're,
So thank God.
and they'll load up a kid with ammunition,
Yeah,
have them walk up to you
yeah,
and
yeah, yeah,
blow
yeah,
themselves up.
yeah, yeah.
They'll
So
blow the kid up.
it was a short war, but it felt like it was there. I was there for years.
Yeah.
So,
Saddam Hussein was not a good person. He was pretty evil to his own
oh
people.
no, he was a scumbag for
Did
sure.
you meet any Kurdish people? I'm friendly with a lot of the Kurdish.
No, there were a lot of Kuwaitis there on that worked on base
Kurdish would
that
have
were
been north
vetted,
of there.
but we almost got in a. I almost, the security was so high, even though it was so high, we still had Kuwaitis working on base. So we
Yeah.
didn't know, if they were vetted all the way through or what. I didn't trust anybody. No, no.
I hear Baghdad area, that zone was
Oh
even
no,
worse.
that was the worst of the worst right there. So I
Yeah.
was away from Baghdad, but you know, just being there is just insane. So I remember we had this Kuwaiti guy on base. He went up the roof of some building, and I was guarding a building, and I guess everybody came in, and we pointed our rifles at him because we didn't know what he was doing up there. I'm like, are we gonna get blown up right now or what? So luckily he was just, I don't know what he was doing, but he was not supposed to be up there. But
Someone asked what division or whatever you were in. Simplify.
what was that?
Simplify and what division or corps you were in? What corps you were in?
I was with the air wing side.
Oh, okay. Okay, so you had to jump out of planes.
No. I never did jump out of planes. No, and I was never on a boat, thank God. But I
Oh,
was
okay.
in the on the air wing side. Yeah, where we had F-18s, Harriers, C5s, C-130s. We dealt with the planes there. Yeah,
Oh, you worked on them.
yeah. No, I didn't
Oh,
work on him. We were like the AutoZone for parts for planes.
oh, okay.
So, but I never worked on the planes. But we were on the air wing side. But no
Okay.
matter what you do, you get deployed in a combat zone for sure.
Someone was over there in Germany in the 80s. So I think they still have bases in Germany, don't they? Or not so many? I know
I'm
they're
not
supposed
too
to.
sure. I think it's more of an army bases there than Marine.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Okay. So I was wondering.
yeah.
He was
But I
wondering
was
what corps
stationed.
you were in.
I was stationed in North Carolina, Cherry
Yeah.
Point.
Oh, that's where my brother was in North Carolina.
Really?
Yeah, he did his basic training somewhere down there too.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was a
So
good base.
yeah, a little bit after you. So
Yeah.
my
And I had
brother.
a motorcycle too, but I never had an accident. Thank God I was close. I've had an accident.
Yeah, he was off base when he did it, and
Yeah.
someone like jammed on the brakes right in front of him or something. And,
Jeez.
yeah.
Actually, it was a sport bike I bought, and to this day, I've had motorcycles all my life. Sport bikes.
I used to
They've
race
been
him
in
when I
my
was
blood.
a kid. So I miss those days. I gotten old. You still drive or?
Yeah,
Huh?
they say the midlife crisis, but I don't know if it's that. But I don't know. I don't know when I'm going to stop. But,
A
actually,
Harley or?
I was telling Paloma that I just bought a brand new jet ski.
Oh, okay.
Kawasaki. I love all that.
Where you use that in
There's
Arizona?
a lake here close to my house. It's called Silverwood Lake, and then you have the beach, which is an hour away. But I every now and then, I go there and decompress.
Yeah, yeah. It's good to have some recreation now and then.
Yeah. As long as I can walk and we're all
Someone
getting
asked
old.
how your wife took it. You going out and doing
I'm
the
not
service
married.
and
I've never been married.
oh, okay.
No.
Well, that makes sense.
So maybe that's why I have a lot of toys, but no, I don't know. But no. Yeah.
Oh well, that's surprising.
No, it is. Very people see it as a red flag, but no, I mean, that's the way my life has been, But yeah.
Wow.
Yeah,
So
that's
I
okay.
don't know. So you would you someone you could go back and help advise. They were wondering what level you got up to, lieutenant or that kind of thing in this.
Oh, you know what? I did get up. I was close to being a supervisor there, but I didn't want the supervisor position because I didn't want to deal with all these headaches. I mean, oh no, I was comfortable where I was at. For only a few
Government
bucks,
officials coming down and telling you how it's to be
oh,
done.
for only a few bucks, no, keep me here.
Well, they also do a lot of overtime too, right? Yeah,
Oh
because
yeah, we had a lot of overtime. Yeah, not too much, but we did have overtime. Yeah.
um, no, I meant if you were a supervisor, you end up doing a lot of extra time too, right?
Yes, yes, they were the. I mean, I would see these supervisors. I mean, I'm like, oh my god, the stress level is just higher than a regular agent, right? But that's what I told them. Hey, you want to be a supervisor? This is part of being a supervisor, right? Dealing with all these policies, all these personalities, all this. Oh God, I said no. I don't want to be part of that.
Well,
No.
also you
Yeah.
have the Trump, Biden people coming down on you and stuff like that.
Yeah.
That would have been
Everything
tough.
from everything from our headquarters in DC to our local higher management here in LA. Oh man, as they say, it trickled down the ladder, and it ended up with us, with our local supervisors here. And hey, it's the only one thing don't that I do not miss is policies and the bad politics. You know, it's
So the
everywhere.
ones you're talking to now, they're really liking it now, right?
Well, yeah. But every now and then, we get these in-house policies, you know, but not as extreme as we were getting them with the past administration. No, 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 nothing compared. No, 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 no. But that's one thing I don't miss is the politics and all these policies, the bad
Um,
policies.
now someone's asking the people that are working for Border Patrol and in ICE, are they like 100% behind Trump, or is there some still against him?
I want to say, I think, in my opinion, if you enter this career, you have to be conservative. You have to be, you know, on the right side of uh, politics, because I want to say 99.9 are for Trump. Yeah.
Was any of your family
So that
against
must
it?
be a really good work environment right now then.
Yeah.
Oh, believe me. Oh yeah. They're big time. It's from night. It's the 360. It's just incredible. Yeah.
It's probably an easier job now too.
Well,
Second
right.
in.
The only thing right now is there's a lot of work right now. That's for sure. There's a
Oh yeah.
lot of work to be
Well,
done.
they had a lot of processing to do when they were letting
Yeah.
them all
Well,
over.
talk about job security, with the open border. That's what I mean. There's a lot more work now, and they're working their asses off,
Do you
for
think
sure.
there's
But
many sneaking across still?
not as much, but it's still happening. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Mostly like in Arizona and
It could be anywhere, and I'm sure where there's a will, there's a way, right? But not as bad as before, right? But I'm sure there's still people sneaking in. Oh yeah, not as much as
The rates are
before.
supposed to be down like
Yeah, the
95%, but
military.
they're always going to
Oh,
find a way. But as long as the system is in place, it would have never gotten this bad if
actually,
the system would have always been in place.
actually, there's an area where the property they turned it into federal property, so now the military can be there and enforce immigration law or arrest these people now. Yeah.
now your governor in Arizona kind of Hobbs there. She kind of wants to let him in, doesn't she?
I want to say, well, as you know, Arizona was blue for a little while and still is blue, so the cancer is there. I want to say yes.
Yeah, but they cheat in elections
Yeah.
real bad. They
He's
take forever to
anti-Trump
count
for
the
sure.
vote.
Yeah. So my state, hopefully, it'll stay right now, and with that, things will get better, hopefully. But there's still cancer and poison there for sure. Oh yeah.
Could you ever see you running for office?
No, 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 no. I just want peace and love right now. I'm done dealing with people. No.
Someone asked your age because they're trying to guess your age here.
Well,
They're guessing 68.
Oh,
No?
well,
Hyman's
this is
much
a
younger than that.
no. This is the thing. People tell me I
Well,
look
because he said you were
younger.
retired.
No, well, the thing is, I retired at uh 53.
Oh, okay. So
And the
you,
reason behind that, because I started really young. I mean,
mhm.
really young. So, and I was eligible for early retirement. So I was not going to stay 2, 3 more years for $100 more for what? Yeah, life is too short. And I did what I wanted to do in all these years. I was satisfied. So, yeah,
Yeah. Well, I bet you could be a boss there pretty easy. You know.
yeah. So,
So,
I mean, every now and then I do miss work. Oh yeah, it's just I miss what I did.
well, miss the guys. They were pretty good there.
Certain coworkers and what I did. The adrenaline, everything. Not everything, but
Someone asked if there was a lot of ladies at the borders or in ICE.
there were only a few, but now there are more females that are being hired within ICE and with CBP at the border.
Hmm.
Yeah.
So hopefully they're physically fit. That's the main thing.
Well, I I hope that they're in there because they want to do the job and not because of the paycheck.
Yeah.
But I'm sure they're good. They're strong. Women are
Yeah.
stronger than men, they say.
Paloma's
Depends who
pretty
you
tough.
ask.
She's not very big, but she's tough. Aren't you,
Yeah.
Paloma?
It's funny because at some point when I was living in Tijuana, somebody suggested that I would become an ICE agent. Well, at the port of entry. And when I crossed the border one time, somebody said, "Why don't you apply for a job here? You'd make a great agent, right?" And
I
I
agree.
remember, and I'm going to share this post with you guys. This is from 2013. Okay, I
Oh
used to
wow.
wear my big, tall Louboutin heels, whatever, and I'm like, I remember posting saying, "What would you guys think of me? Paloma with my big old heels and also a federal agent, right?" And they were like, "Yeah, do it." But here's the thing, though. I think if I would have became an agent, because I mean, I had basically what I needed to apply.
Hmm.
But I think I wouldn't have gotten as involved in politics because I know that you guys, when you
Can't.
guys are agents, you are not allowed to freely speak your mind in some way
No,
as much,
yeah.
right?
We are restricted at time.
Yeah.
And it depends on who's above you, how strict they are on it, right?
Actually, if I was still hired as an agent right now, I couldn't do this interview.
Exactly. That's what I'm
Yeah.
saying. And it would have maybe changed my view too. I remember one time I crossed the border. This is in 2019. And one of the agents said, "Oh, I know you. You're Paloma for Trump, right?" And I was like, "Oh my
Yeah.
God."
They
So
were
I
watching you.
asked him what was going on at, one of the facilities over in Arizona, whatever. He told me, and he didn't tell me not to say anything. But after I left the port of entry, I made a live video. I got thousands of views on my other page that got
Wow.
removed. And then the next time I crossed, I got him again. He said, "Hey, last time you got me in trouble." And I was like, "Wait, what? What did
What?
I do?" He goes, "You made a video and my supervisor follows you." And he
Oh my.
watched the video and he watched the footage of who helped you when you came across. And it was me. And he was like, he knew it was me who gave you the information. I was like, "Oh shoot, I didn't mean to get you in trouble." He's like, "No, no, don't worry about it. Don't worry about it." He's like, "We love you. We love you. But please don't say this stuff publicly if we tell you about it." And I was
Yeah.
like, "Okay, well, I didn't know." He's like, "No, don't worry about it." He's like, "But when he told me, like, I follow you, my supervisor follows you," I was like, "Oh my God, this is so great." But what I'm saying
Well,
is
that's
there
how the
are
two of you know each
limits to
other.
to what you can say when you're an agent and what you can do.
Well,
Yeah.
that's how you know each other, right? Because Amy was following you, right, Paloma?
Yeah, yeah. I think you found me through one of the pages, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Through the
Hopefully, I said
social
your name
media.
right.
Yeah. Through Facebook. Yeah.
Yeah, and I have, I have met a lot. Like, I remember I've told you guys the story before. I remember doing a speech over in Chola Vista one time. This is in 2020, and I was in the green room. We were all waiting for our speeches and stuff, and somebody knocked on the door, and it was the wife of an agent with her two children.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
And they said, "We're here to meet Paloma for Trump because my dad is an agent, and we all follow her, and we just wanted to take a picture and say hi." That was so flattering because again,
Was it?
I have when it comes to eyes when it comes to Border Patrol. And, you know, I just have a lot of respect, truly, from my heart. I'm not just saying that because Jaime's on. I've always said this. I have a lot of respect because I've dealt a lot with the agency myself for years. I've been crossing. So obviously I know them very well. I know their job. I used to sit at the border for 7 hours when they were building the San Isidro border. Remember that back
Oh,
in
yeah.
2012, 13, whatever. We used to sit for hours, like 4, 5, 6, 7 hours, the longest I ever waited. So I got to know their job very, very well. I got very familiar. When you live in Tijuana, you get very familiar, you know,
Yeah,
with everything.
bigger, yeah.
And so you see their attitude, you see their demeanor, you see how they do their job. And it's a very, very respectable agency. It really is, you know. And it's not an agency that you feel intimidated by in any way. Because with cops, a lot of times you do, like, even though you could be doing nothing wrong, it seems a lot of times they're just trying to meet a quota, or they're trying, you know, like impose authority. But you never feel like that with ICE. Like I've never felt like that anyway, you know. I just feel like their job is hard enough. They're trying to catch drugs, they're trying to catch illegals, they're trying to catch, you know, all kinds, but they're not,
Yeah.
it's not like you guys are out looking for something. But at the same time, you're also so extremely well trained, and especially psychologically, because you could tell, like, all the agents, they're just like, they're so sharp. They really are, Jerry. When you deal with them so frequently as I have, they're just reading you. They're reading you, and I don't care. I like, you can read me all you want, but I'm saying, like, they are very, very, very well trained. So um it's you know, it's something that I wish, in a way, I wish I would have done it. But then again, like I said, I don't think I would have gotten involved the way I eventually ended up getting involved, you know.
Yeah. I think you had to run for office at some place. And when someone said left says the walls do not work, they definitely help, don't they? Having the walls there.
It helps a little, yeah. I mean, they're not 100%, you know.
Nothing's
They're not going to
100%,
stop everything at 100%. No, no. But at
but
least,
they can't flood over
yeah,
with the walls there.
yeah, yeah.
Definitely the
It's not
new
going to
walls
be
they built.
called, yeah, it's not going to be called an invasion like it
Yeah,
happened, you know.
then it'd be more like a trickle that way, you know, that type of stuff. How much
But
area in Arizona is still open border without any walls or anything?
to be honest, I do not know at this point how bad it is, but I think the worst state that had it bad was Texas, as you know.
Eagle Pass area?
Eagle Pass, all that area was really bad. But as far as Arizona now, I don't think it's that bad. No.
Because the desert slows them down getting across it.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It'll take you. Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Now they had water stations out there for them. The
Yes.
leftists were putting
Yes.
water stations
Yes.
there for
They
them to
were
get them in there.
basically Border Patrol was mandated by management to put those water wells out there, and yeah, and there's a special unit that they go out and look for bodies and you know whatever and fill up the water reservoirs, whatever. Yeah, yeah.
Someone asked about the rape trees. Rape trees where they throw all the underwear up on them after they rape.
Oh, well, trash is left on a daily basis, you know, when people cross, as you know. They dump from drugs, from clothing, from other items that they carry to,
Copy
you
and
know, oh
paste.
yeah, it's they leave trash everywhere, as you know, even inland, you know, like Tijuana, remember Paloma, where they left all kinds of trash,
Oh
clothes.
my gosh, yeah,
Oh, it was
yeah, yeah,
disgusting. Yeah,
I
yeah.
guess the rape trees are with a lot
yeah,
of the ones that were
yeah.
bringing girls in. They were raping them, and so they're
Oh,
putting these little girls on pills and stuff like that.
yeah. Like I
And then
said,
they take their underwear and hang
yeah,
it in the
yeah,
trees as a trophy.
yeah. It did. It was there. It did. I mean, it did happen. But I never encountered that. I was not part of that unit.
Oh,
But I'm sure it did happen. Oh yeah.
which state was that mostly in?
Any border town, you know,
Any border town.
any
Okay.
border town. Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, that was sort of a
It's
rite of
everywhere.
passage. To get through, you had to allow yourself to get raped if you're a woman,
Yeah.
right?
That is everywhere.
Although you're seeing a lot more fighting age men that were coming in this last
Well, not only
several
that,
years.
these people were well dressed. You know, it's like,
They have
hey,
good,
you
brand
look
new
at them,
clothes.
they're not struggling, you know, but it's like, wait. But then
Brand new
again,
clothes, yeah. And they had brand new phones and everything
oh
too.
yeah, yeah. So hey,
What'd you think of the app that Biden had to they could check in before they even came across the border?
Oh
The
God,
CPU.
that app, that
Yeah,
CBP app,
yeah.
that was just enticing more people to come over. That
Well, it
was the
also helped
worst.
them get across the border quicker
Yeah.
with that.
In
Then,
other
right?
words, he was, enticing
Checking them
people
in
to
ahead
come
of time.
Yeah, it was a disaster. Actually, that CBP app was taken down immediately.
Well,
It no longer
Trump has
exists.
switched it now so they can go home with it. They can only
Yeah,
use it to go back now
yeah.
to check themselves out.
That was a scam right there. Oh no.
Yeah.
Jaime,
Like
you know their mentality really well. I've been talking about this. I wanted to send a message to the White House, and I've been trying to make them understand that these people are not ever going to voluntarily go home. Never. They're not. They're never.
no.
You know them because you've dealt with them for the last 30 plus years. And you know that there's no incentive. You know how the administration was offering $1,000. Please explain what you think of that, because in my opinion, that would never fly.
I don't think it will happen, especially if they pay thousands to get across. You
Mhm.
know, they're not
They can
willing
make
to
much
do
more
that.
here.
It's like asking a criminal, "Hey, are you
You want
going
to
to
give
do
all
this
the stuff you
again?"
stole back?
No, I mean that's not going to happen. No. And talk about job security. That's why we're now doing what we do even more, than we used to, because of all the people that are in here. But these people are not going to return back on their own. No, they never did in the past. They're not going to do it now, especially now.
There's too much
But
incentive
you
to
know what?
stay.
But I've seen it on the news, but it could be fake news, where some people have made
A
these
few,
videos. Oh, I'm
handful.
going back, but
Some of them that want to try to get back in legally. They don't want that on the record if they get caught.
They will never come back legally. Explain to them why it's so difficult to come back legally.
well, the thing is, you have to apply, to be able to come back, petition to be for a visa, right, tourist visa. But
Yeah.
if you have any kind of record, as far as if you are encountered illegally or have been encountered or have been arrested with other criminal charges by locals here, you're not going to get a visa for sure. As it is, they're revoking visas right now on people that are being
In
questioned as to
college
their
that are causing
criminality.
protests and stuff.
So no, it's not going
Yeah.
to happen. No.
That's someone asked if on the north, if you ever worked the northern border, and is there much going on there?
No, I never have worked at a northern border, only the land border there in Nogales, and that was it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is there really much going on there?
There's more danger working at the land border, in my opinion, than at a different border, like a seaport or an airport. Yeah.
Northern border meaning Canada, up near Canada.
Oh, no.
Not much going there, other near Vancouver. A lot of
I don't
drugs.
think there's much going on the northern border. There's more stuff going on at the southern border because of Mexico there, all that criminality going on.
Yeah. I'm surprised why they fly them all the way over to near Panama Canal and ship them north. Why they never tried to? It's so easy to get into Canada because they were welcoming all the illegals in. How come they haven't done it that way?
I don't know. We have bad administration at times. Every now and then it does exist within our own agency. So people are still within our agency that make these weird decisions for some reason, but I don't know why. But even with the Panama Canal now, where China took over the Panama Canal.
Yeah.
So there's another
and they're making it so we can't get a lot of goods through it, or if we do, we have to pay like 6 times as much.
So
and we're the one that built it.
They got their claws on that canal. So
I think it was Carter that gave him the Panama Canal for $1 or something like that. And a lot of people died in making that canal too.
It was back in the 70s, right?
Well, even before then, I think it was built early.
But China's all over that, and I guess, as you
know,
took
like a decade to build it.
Yeah.
And they're getting through free, and we're paying 6 times as much to get our goods through.
Yeah.
Trump's trying to get the Panama Canal back. I think he always goes way over here to get to here. You know what I mean? He says something way over here to get this.
Yeah.
Sort of like Greenland and Canada. he says that kind of stuff to get something else. You know, I don't know. Paloma's actually met Trump in person. Haven't you, Paloma? How many times?
Twice. I met him before he
Wow.
was long before he was elected. In 2007, because I was already a huge fan of his and some of his
Way back,
other
yeah.
2007 I met him in LA.
Wow.
And then at the White House when I was invited in 2019.
Wow.
Yeah,
That would be
and
awesome.
they didn't believe you were there at the White House. Plus, we've been to some of his events. I don't know if you've been to any events.
No,
Any?
no,
Wow.
I've never. No,
Because
as
I know
well
he has campaigned in Arizona,
as
especially the
an
first time
agent,
around.
I can't be, attending, those scenarios, or for me to be in those scenarios, I have to be careful because my agency would be like, why were you there? What were you doing? So it's just I couldn't do that. But
Oh,
now,
really?
now I've been retired for 2 years, so I mean I could do that now for sure. And I'm thinking about, hopefully one day
Yeah.
meeting Trump. Either in office or out of office. I don't care, but I'd rather meet him in office.
Well, we still got 3 years
3 years.
and 6 months left to go, and I know
Yeah,
he can't be reelected. I mean, as far as we know, he can't be reelected. But
I know. Yeah,
um, I'm sure
yeah,
a lot will happen over the next 3 years, and
yeah,
hopefully in the upcoming months, I'm sure.
Well, we got to win the House. We got to keep the House and the Senate.
yeah.
Otherwise, they're going to impeach him again.
Oh, come on.
Oh,
That
you're right.
clown, that clown
Yeah,
with that
that's
cane.
not gonna happen.
It's all
Yeah,
it'll be. The news media will go nuts over impeachment after impeachment after impeachment,
they
and
have
they'll make
nothing.
up crap.
They
Yeah.
have nothing else.
There's a lot of money on the other side trying to stop that. Look at the
Yeah,
93 billion just before Biden went out that they funneled through the Defense Department or something. Did you see about that? And
yeah, yeah,
the last 70 some days, 93 billion. They sent it to businesses that don't even exist. This money
yeah,
just went
yeah.
nowhere.
Well, the Doge itself, I couldn't believe, all that stuff that they discovered. People that have been dead for years still receiving Social Security. That's the same thing, It's just, and this has been going on for years. This is nothing new. That's the sad part.
Well, it's just grown like crazy now. It's gone in the
Insane,
trillions.
man.
If they can get away with it, they'll just keep getting away with more and more. You know,
Wow.
and names of stuff that don't even exist. And
I
a lot of
think
that money
Elon
they're
Musk,
sending overseas, it's coming back to them, to the big guy, and
I'm so
stuff like
happy that Elon Musk got involved in all that garbage and all that stuff.
that.
Hell yeah. Why
I
not?
hear
You
you.
know?
So,
I've been talking a little bit. Go ahead, Paloma.
Jaime, tell us what you think about these obviously these massive deportations, but I really feel that
Uh-huh.
the fear tactics are what's going to work the best. I mean, you know that a lot of them will work a lot better under fear that they're going to work under any incentive. What do you think of that?
It means
I
about
think,
people not coming because of fear.
well, this is the thing. Uh, there's still going to be people trying to get in illegally for sure. That's not going to stop.
But there'll
But
be less of them, right?
less, of course. But I mean, I'm glad that the fear is there, like Paloma said, because that'll hopefully keep the criminality down,
And keep them from
as far as
trying.
people trying to come in and all kinds of stuff. I mean, Trump doesn't mess around. And that's the thing. With strength, you're going to, succeed than with weakness, right? As they say. But I think it should work that with the fear that these people will stop coming in. As you know, I mean, I think it's working.
But as far
Not
as getting them
100%.
out, I think it's going to work a lot better with fear than it would
Yeah, yeah.
with incentives.
Yeah, there has to be fear, because with fear, you're going to get respect and people are going to respect you. And because with weakness, as they say, no. So I think it's a good deterrent.
Yeah.
So have you seen yourself a lot less trying to come across the border? Or are they still trying?
I'm sure they're still trying, but to succeed, it's less now. That there's people that are succeeding less now than before, as you know.
Yeah.
With Trump, but I'm happier now. with
Yeah.
him. Oh yeah,
Well,
I wake up happy every day knowing that this has stopped. It's like insane, you
I
know.
can't imagine what would have happened if Kamala Harris had won and we
Oh
had 4 years of her or 8 years of her. 8 years of
Not
that.
only that, imagine the medical system, the
Oh,
education
they were collapsing all that.
collapse. It's going to collapse.
Well,
It might
they
collapse
got
now.
people collecting Social Security that aren't even born yet.
Yeah,
They're not even born yet, and they're somehow sending a check,
yeah,
electronic to
yeah.
someone that's so they're milking trillions out of the system. So,
And then California, uh, aiding and abetting with by our own taxes, giving these people all kinds of social help, and it's like, what is this? It's like, that's the worst of the worst. It's like draining the system
mhm.
at our tax dollars. And that's one thing that
Well, they're driving businesses out of there, letting them steal
on
and get
top
away
of
with it.
that, but imagine giving them all these medical insurance, where people that are born here can't even get that. So
What they're going to do is they're going to collapsing all the money people were going to get in their retirement. It's all going to end up evaporating, and it'll be worthless.
yeah,
In Venezuela, it worked good for about 2 years, but eventually the money was just laying all over the place because they
the
kept
social,
printing it. They kept printing money. You could earn over $2 million a month, and it was worth about $2.
It never ends,
Because they kept printing money. It made it useless. It was no value to
So
it.
that's one thing about California that it's just bad, It's just the politics is really bad with Newscom. I mean, I wish Arnold Schwarzenegger was not as bad,
Yeah.
or other governors like we were just talking right now.
He was only left of center, not way over the progressive. Although he's now talking about not having guys in women's sports, but he won't stop that.
Wow.
But I know Paloma don't like talking about that. That's actually a big topic, though. Actually, but
Men and women sports.
yes, they don't. It's about a 85 to 15 thing. Against even
they don't
people on
get
the left.
the signs is there XX and XY.
Yeah, it can't. It don't work.
Yeah.
So, in any case, I know Paloma don't like to do that subject because probably there's always someone that's the trans thing.
You're right, though. I know,
yeah. Did you ever live in California?
I never did, and the reason I live here because of work related. I had to transfer over here as an ICE agent.
Oh, okay.
Actually, New York and California were looking at me to hire me, but I guess California called first. So I ended up here.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Don't move here to New York. It's too expensive.
Oh man, I was told, but I was
our governor's trying to get rid of propane gas and natural gas.
No offense to New York, but I did want California, and it did happen. So
yeah,
but California was better way back. I mean, geez.
Yeah, so was New York at one time.
I bet.
Yeah,
like everything.
And no one believes me that when I first started working at Lum's, I used to make $2.05 an hour, and I was the highest paid at the restaurant, and I was good with that, But then gas was like 16 cents a gallon.
Yeah.
Or something.
Oh yeah. God, geez.
Yeah. I'm old.
No, I'm behind you. Yeah. What did you retire as?
I did drywall and stuff like that.
Oh,
okay. And then I had the stroke, and I was just over 65. I was going to keep working.
Oh.
Had my own small business.
Wow.
And it was because of Antifa and that.
Oh yeah, those terrorists. Yeah.
Yeah. Because we were watching fireworks on the 4th of July. I was down there with a lot of patriots, and I was the only white person with them. With the group I was with, and Trump gave a speech around 6:30, and this is July 4th. So the sun went down, after 9. So we hung around the Washington Monument and hanging out with a bunch of other patriots there for the fireworks to kick on. But when the fireworks came on, they turned the lights down, and they came in then, the Antifa, and they'd wear the whole black, even cover their face and everything. Yeah. And there was a bunch of them, but Proud Boys came in and pushed them all back and stuff like that. Otherwise, I would have been killed right there.
Wow.
And so then later that I was always having dysarrhythmia and stuff.
Wow. Gee.
Yeah, it definitely affected me. And
Oh, yeah, I bet. Yeah.
yeah, I had a mini stroke before my main one. So
Gee.
yeah,
Well, I'm glad you're okay.
yeah. I follow Paloma's advice. I know she's still out there. She's got a mic and thing.
Yeah.
Along on eating and stuff like that to open up my veins. Her and Crystal and Gita, a bunch of people that told me, the apple cider vinegar and
Yeah,
different
yeah.
things to eat and stuff like that. And I've opened up my veins. I was supposed to have a triple heart bypass back then.
Wow.
So I've
Really?
opened back up my veins from 20-some% to 53% in the bad area.
Jeez.
Yeah, I've gotten it
Wow.
all opened up. Thank you, Paloma. I know you got your mic off.
No, I'm
There.
here. I'm here.
Yeah.
I just really wanted Jaime to help us understand also, like I always tell you guys, the psychology of all these people, especially because he's dealt with them for so long, and understand that only through fear and only through basically a lot of times very, very strong tactics, and I'm not going to say aggression, but very strong
No, no,
tactics
no, no,
will
no.
anything really work, because trying to persuade them, trying to be nice to them, is not going to work. And I know that right now Trump has run into a lot of obstacles when it comes to legally deporting them,
Courts.
because the courts are, because the Democrats obviously are getting judges involved and trying to stop him from
Yeah.
doing his job, which is what the American people voted for. But there has to be other ways, because Trump is an incredibly smart man. He has a lot of incredibly smart people working all around him. And I know that a lot of them are just, a lot of the politicians that are supposed to be behind him, they're just in it for, they're on it to ride his wave. They're on it on his coattails. But there's a lot of good strategists around him that could come up with ways to create this massive, massive, and I'm just going to put it out there, fear campaign to get them all out, to get millions of them out. Because if we do not do it over the next 3 years, 3.5 years that we've got left for this term anyway,
Yeah.
it's not going to get done. And God forbid they were to win again in 2020,
I
in
imagine.
2028,
Yeah.
and then we're back to square one, and even worse, because this
Oh.
time they're not going to allow 20 in. They're going to 20 million. They're going to allow 40 million in. You know,
The executive orders got to become law.
right,
Because
right.
another auto pen
Exactly.
person.
But
Yeah.
the point is trying to get, because I was hoping that during the first term, I know that he was dealing with a lot, but during the first term, I'm telling you, as an immigrant, I was hoping for millions, massive, massive deportations, which we didn't see. And I know they had a lot, but I wish we would
You
have
have
had,
people in his administration working against him. I think he's got better people now.
yeah, he does. He does. I
Yeah.
think the first term, like I always say, I don't think he knew exactly what he was dealing with, like how low these people could go, how evil they really are. Now he knows. I think Secretary Nome is a really good pick for head of the
Homeland
department and the
Security. Yeah.
agency.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that they really need to go as aggressive as possible without trying to use the law, because if they try to use the law, they're going to get blocked every step of the way by, in any way possible. The Democrats are going to find every possible block that they can use
Yeah.
against us. It's just they're going to try to interfere in every way possible. So trying to do the psychology aspect of it, I think will work much better than doing the legal way of it, because they didn't use the legal way. They found a way through the system, which was
No, no,
asylum.
no. It's not gonna
Yeah,
deter anything.
no,
It's all psychological, like you said.
yeah,
Even when yeah.
yeah. I mean, a lot of people, Jaime, right now, from what I hear in Tijuana, and you're very familiar with tourists crossing over to work, and like you said, attending public schools and all that stuff when they're not supposed to. A lot of tourists in Tijuana, they're not doing it anymore, just for the simple reason that they're afraid of getting their visas canceled.
Yeah.
Even
Yeah.
the governor of Tijuana, of Baja California, you saw this, Marina del Pilar, or whatever her name is, her visa was canceled. And she's a governor of the state.
Yeah. It's happening.
So,
Yeah.
yeah.
I don't know. They got some insiders in there too that turned against him after the whole Trump not getting reelected thing.
Yeah.
And then you could see really where they were. We lost Paloma for a while, and this and that. So I don't know. So here she comes back. I gotta click on.
You know what? If I have my camera on, I can't really hear you guys. That's why I've had it off all this time. So I can.
Oh,
Yeah, it's kind of weird.
Oh,
I can see
okay.
you now.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I close. Yeah, I can hold it closer. I don't want you guys looking at my nostrils.
Oh,
Oh, you're okay.
As
That's
pretty as
okay.
they are. Just
Yeah,
kidding.
there you go.
No, but I
I'm the
really
ugliest one
honestly,
here.
I really believe that using a fear tactic, a psychology based approach, as opposed to trying to get them all, which is probably so costly, which is probably so expensive,
and the
to try to get
manpower.
them all out, for the efforts only to be blocked by the courts, because that's what's happening right now.
Yeah.
Would work a lot better. I know that Mexico has changed a lot for the better through psychology. You know all about the soap operas in Mexico, the channels, Televisa. Jaime, you're very familiar,
Yeah,
because we're very Jaime is very connected to Mexico. Just so you guys know, he's very connected to the Mexican culture. He's not just American and an agent and all that. He's also very connected to the Mexican culture. He knows a lot more than what we've discussed over the last 2 hours. And he knows their mentality, not just
Yeah.
because he's worked, you know, against them really, but because of his heritage too. So we know how they think.
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Are you
Yeah.
close to the border now?
No, well, I'm in Riverside. I guess I'm like an hour and a
I
half.
About
don't
an
know
hour and a
what you're.
half, right?
Yeah,
Oh, okay.
yeah. But I mean, every now and then, um, I do go across, but not as often. Every now and then, every blue moon. But
Oh, okay.
you know, I mean, like Paloma said, I have my heritage, my background, and family. I have family in Mexico too.
He
Oh, great.
does. He has
Yeah.
family in Sonora,
So
right?
yeah. So, but I did divide my work with family because you can't mix those. You can't. You have to have well, not two personalities, but two different lifestyles, right? Hey, when I would go over there, and as a matter of fact, when I was an ICE agent, I didn't go over there. And if I did, maybe one time that I remember, in and out, but I have family. I do.
Did you have any family against you for what you were doing?
No, never. No, no,
Good, good, good.
no. I
So
don't.
I think that's
Not that I
changed.
know of, but to
Yeah.
my face, or I've never heard of a family member say anything negative, or no, because they understand that it's my profession, it's work,
Yeah.
there's laws that people have to respect. Like when I go across the border over there, I have to respect their laws. So why can't people respect our laws over here? It's one thing I'll never get, but that's another story. But yeah, I do have family, and every now and then.
Wanted
Well,
to ask
maybe,
you real quick
okay.
about the border crossing cards that I mean, I don't know what year they stopped issuing them, but at some point there was a program where they used to issue border crossing cards that were basically meant for people who lived at the border, like Tijuana,
Yeah,
Mexicali, and all
the
those
border.
places. But they were just so people could visit, right?
Yeah, they just could visit. That's it.
Yeah.
It was just like a tourist visa, but on a border crossing card,
So
for
it's
local
funny
people.
because one of the people that stalks me posted that was their legal way into America. I'm like, no, 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 you did it
They don't exist.
illegally, because that was
No,
not legal.
no,
That was you
that's
taking
not a legal
advantage of your
resident card.
privilege.
That's a border crossing card. It's just like
They
a
probably got
visa,
rid of them because people have been abusing the system, right?
Exactly,
but
Yeah.
they were issued
exactly.
at the port of entry with people that lived close to the border. So, that was it. But that was phased out when ICE was enacted. The Department of Homeland Security.
Oh, okay,
So now everybody has to go to the consulate abroad in
right.
Mexico.
Yeah, but those are very common. I remember for people that lived,
Yeah,
because I had an
yeah,
uncle that lived in Tijuana
uh-huh,
when I was growing up, and their whole family had one of those,
yeah.
because as long as you provided a proof of residence of Tijuana, then
Insolvency.
they would just
Uh-huh.
give you one.
Yeah.
But it
But
was
then again, they could be taken away quick too. Oh
oh,
yeah.
okay.
I mean, if you had that border crossing card and you came across and you were questioned as to your residency or solvency, and you didn't have any proof, they would yank that card and cancel it. Yeah.
Huh?
Okay.
Why? Because it's like a tourist visa. You're a tourist coming in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Was there a lot of forgeries you would see?
Oh yeah, a lot of people, a lot,
Because they were
and that
very
was
simple. They look like school. There's like school IDs.
yeah. And not
Really?
only that, they would borrow family members border crossing cards, try
They
to
borrow
pass
it?
off as Juana or whatever, and
Oh
oh
my
yeah,
gosh.
that was a common thing. Yeah, false claim mean to U.S. citizenship, all kinds of fraud. Oh my God, even people that would solicit a permit, like we were saying with a border crossing card.
Yeah.
And when you solicit a permit, you were questioned as to your residency and solvency, and a lot of people presented fraudulent work documents,
Oh,
fraudulent residential documents from Mexico, and I would break them. I would use the term break, meaning they would admit to their wrongdoing. That was my specialty. I would get them in the back of the room, and it's like, hey, but it's all psychological, like we were talking,
Mm-hmm.
you know. I wasn't mean or
yeah.
unprofessional. I was just being
Now, did you
all
have to?
psychological, and they would come out with the truth like that.
Now,
There was
did
a
you have
lot of.
to deal with Mexican officials much and Mexican leaders much when you were doing the border stuff?
Can you repeat that again?
The Mexican leaders or officials, did you have to deal with them much?
No, no. I dealt with a lot of famous people though from Mexico. Yeah,
Okay.
I did. Not too much, but I did deal with a lot of them. But they were just, Alejandra Guzman, remember? Yeah, singers, actors. Yeah, they would come
Oh,
across. Oh yeah,
very cool.
yeah.
Very cool. So
I didn't see
But-
much American famous people every now and then, but not as much as from Mexico. Yeah.
probably a few politicians come down to the borders
You
to
know
make a
what?
video.
I'm trying to think. Politicians. I don't think maybe I did from Mexico, like mayors and low-level officials, but as far as like government officials, I never ran into them from either side.
Okay.
We did get like the Dick Consini, port of entry when it was built. We had a lot of politicians from DC come down.
Where's that at?
At Nogales.
That's Texas?
That is Nogales, Arizona.
Oh, Arizona. Okay.
Yeah, that's where I worked. And when they built that port of entry, it was inaugurated, and then a lot of politicians from DC came down. I can't remember what politicians, but they were part of Congress. That's about it.
They were making videos.
Well,
That's
the dog and pony show, with
Yeah.
the opening of the port of entry.
Never
That
seen
port of
Connie
entry-
Harris come down though, did she?
Who?
Connie Harris. I call her Connie.
Yeah.
So-
So, but that port of entry was built in 90. Wow, 90 what? 95? No, it was opened. I mean, in 95 or 96, I think. It's not that old. Yeah.
Oh,
And then
wow.
again, San Isidro was rebuilt.
So
But I
I've
saw a lot of
always,
stuff there. Yeah.
always lived in Arizona pretty much. Huh?
Yeah.
I
I
think
was raised
Paloma
in
wanted to
Oregon.
get in here
Yeah.
too. Paloma?
What's that?
I thought you wanted to say something. I thought it was.
No. I was just sharing the interview with one of my friends.
Oh, okay. I thought you were
I think
smiling.
this is a really, really great interview. Let me tell you why. Because we need more real people, but not just people in general. We need really people with merit, with experience. I mean, we hardly have anyone like Jaime with real on boots on the ground, the type of experience that he has, especially dealing with all the top criminals, like I've said a few times, with the high end, I call them high end criminals.
Yeah.
They're really dangerous ones and stuff. I don't think we have a lot of people that have done that. I really like, who I really like? Dan Bongino, because I think he has a lot of experience. I think he's amazing because you can just see it. He's not a show off. He's not he's just an
Yeah.
experienced
No, he's a
agent
good
as
guy.
well. And that's what we need. We need people that know what it's truly about to be out there, so we can find solutions. Because posting on Instagram, talking about it, making videos about it is not going to do anything. It's about coming up with solutions, because
I think you
we
need
have
both.
this,
I think you need both
yeah. I mean, we need to post on social media, Jerry, of course.
to get the other thing to happen. Yeah.
Jerry's defending his social media because Jerry's a social media
Well,
expert.
Bondino lost a good job or gave up a good job to do what he's going to do now. Because it was a lot.
I
better
mean,
pay.
I mean, listen to him. I was listening to him during some of the hearings post President Trump's attempted assassination.
Yeah.
And the guy
Oh
is
man,
experienced.
yeah,
He knows his stuff from the fields. You
I've
know,
seen the photos. Yeah,
he's not just speculating. He's not just making stuff up or just reading a script. And that's what we need. And we need to, again, I think we need to come up with solutions because, again, posting about it, complaining about it, crying about it, it's about coming up with solutions, real solutions that are strategic enough, that are creative enough, where we're going to be like the Democrats, because they always find a way around the law and they get away with it. And I'm not saying that we must break the law, but we must find ways to protect America right now as we stand. Even if these Democrats try to block everything that Trump tries to do,
I don't
you
know.
know,
I don't know if we should call them Democrats or not because they're not the same
Commies now.
Democrats that's way
no,
before
they're
back
just
then.
psychopaths. You
You
know,
know,
most of them are literally
They
just
want a
psychopaths.
world government. They want one world government. Fun fact,
Yeah,
you know, the only rally that CNN covered of Trump's during the election season was the one where he got shot. Somehow CNN knew or something. That was the only one they covered that they were live at the whole time. CNN,
really.
the only one they played was the one he got shot at. A lot of people are speculating online that they
Wow.
knew that something was going to happen there.
the speculation was
And then
there.
Comey posting 86 47, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that
Comey.
one, that ton. Yeah, really?
Yeah.
They call.
Like you hadn't
Really?
heard 86 before, right?
Yeah.
86 this,
Did you see
86
the
that.
video where the Fox host?
And here he was in the FBI, right?
Yeah,
Right.
that Fox host went in where he was signing books and questioned him. Hey, can you sign me a seashell? Why did
I
you do
didn't
what
see
you did?
that. I've been
There's a
so
video.
busy.
It's on Fox. A
Yeah.
Fox host went in and I questioned him in his book signing, and it's like, hey, are you in trouble, or can you sign me a seashell?
I
Idiot!
did
What an
see that.
idiot!
And he
Wow.
was trying to ask him about the 86.
What a disgrace!
47.
What a disgusting, disgraced man! It's like, really, dude.
Yeah.
But
And
it happens, within our agencies. There's people.
and he's been interviewed before the election. He was saying we cannot let Trump get back in.
Wow.
Because he was afraid all his crap's going to come
Because
out.
it's all about their personal gain. You know that it's not just about their ideologies or their personal views on this. They're making money from this.
Yeah.
I mean, look at what Elon, that's why they're so against Elon Musk, because he came in just slashing, waste and abuse, and how many people were getting, who God knows how much money from all of this, not just the individual agencies and employees, but
The
who
big guy
knows how
got
much
his
money
10%.
laundering was going on.
Which
Huh?
the big guy got his 10%, but probably went to Jill and a lot of people think
Yeah.
Obama got a lot of
Pelosi.
money.
I mean, when I first heard the numbers of that Trump was putting out there as far as like how much money was actually unaccounted for, it's like, I mean, we're talking about like hundreds of millions of dollars. Where was this money going?
Billions.
No wonder why they
Billions
have
with a
3,
B.
4 homes. No wonder why they have all these properties, these huge bank accounts and everything that they have. Of course,
Well, they're buying off
Um,
judges and everything too.
Oh yeah. Exactly. That's, and that it makes you, when you wonder why it is that a judge would get involved so much and everything. Why? Because they know it only takes one to set an example, and then the rest will start doing it, and that's how it starts. So I think, again, we should try to get creative. There was an ad. I don't know if you've seen it, where they have an ad for illegal immigrants to use the app to go home, Jaime.
Yeah, I've seen that. Yeah.
And they use that word, not that word, the song "Take Me Home," right? I thought to myself, illegals have no idea what the hell that means. They don't.
Wow.
They don't know. I mean,
I
not
didn't
that
hear
they don't understand what "Take Me Home" means, or if somebody explains it, or whatever. But the song doesn't. But now, if you use some sort of, and I haven't thought of a song, but if you think hard enough, maybe we could come up with one. Where
me
a
home.
Mexican song to get them to go home,
go home.
that would really work, but we would really have to get creative in finding ways, and maybe come up with
A
a
lot of them
song.
aren't from Mexico; they're from other countries too.
Yeah.
Well, I'm saying, that's what I'm saying, but it doesn't have to be to Mexico. I'm just saying, like, come up
In
with
general.
a Spanish song, a corrido. I've always thought of a corrido, because if you play take me home, it means nothing to them. They have no idea what the hell it means. They don't. I was interviewing an illegal about 2 months ago. I shared this story with you guys. He was very reluctant, but I really wanted to like hear from him with everything now with Trump in office and everything. And after a few minutes of talking to him, he was very reluctant because I was in a restaurant. I was holding my purse, my iPad, and I looked, I guess, like maybe I could, I don't know, maybe, I don't know, be a threat to him in some way, right? So but this is all it took for me to say, listen to what I said, and Jerry will have no idea what it means, but I'll translate for you, Jerry. I said, I said something like, "Nos echamos un bote," you know. To him, his face, his face completely changed. When I asked him, "Nos echamos un bote," he was like, he completely let his guard down and started listening to what I was saying. That's all it took. Listen to this, 4 words, what that means is, it's not just we'll have a beer, because it's not, if I would have told him, oh, do you want to have a cerveza with me? He would have been like, who the hell is this woman? Get away from me, right? Mm-hmm. But when I told him, nos echamos un bote, he was like, his ears went like, and he was, not only was he paying attention, he was telling me stuff. He was, confiding in me. He opened up to me. It took those 4 words. And then I was able to like put enough fear in him to tell him, you need to go. You need to get out of here, because they're going to come and get you. ICE is going to come to your house in the middle of the night, and you're going to end up in the Bukele prisons. And before you know it, you're going to have no hair. They're going to tattoo your body, and who knows, maybe they'll mistake you for a big time criminal, crazy. And you're going to spend 10 years in some jail in El Salvador, El Salvador. So, but it's all about getting to them in ways that it actually, goes into their mind, because but for that, obviously you have to understand their psychology and how it all works, so I do hope that the administration hires more people, or comes up with more ways and has more people that have experience with wink wink, me and Jaime, wink wink, so that we can actually make a difference, because again,
I'm going to ask if Mexico leaders are getting better and they're working with Trump more now. Do you think
it's going to be an uphill battle when it comes to Mexico's leadership? It's not going to be easy. This is something that has been going on for decades. It's not going to change overnight. I mean, they're trying, but what we're going to see a lot of death before anything significant actually happens in Mexico, as far as the drug
are they getting better for their own people? Mexico politics?
No,
you got that one lady you like, the one mayor.
Well, let me tell you, after Trump became elected in 2016, we did get López Obrador, right? Whom López Obrador, he may have not been the best president in history or in the world, but he did bring a lot of accountability against previous presidents and against the entire system, which he wouldn't have done unless he saw Trump get elected in 2016. Let me tell you something. In 2017, López Obrador had decided he would never run again. He would not, because he had already ran, I think, twice or 3 times. They had stolen 2 elections from him. So he had decided he was never going to run again. In 2017, I had a 1-woman protest against him in Valle de Bravo. He was campaigning for the local mayor, and he came to the town, right? And he was not running. He was not running for president. He was just, he was just a former candidate, right? So he came to our town, and he was endorsing our local mayor. And when I found out he was in town, I ran out there. I went and bought some big, cardboard, printed some stuff.
You're protesting for him.
I was protesting against them. Let me tell you why.
Against them. Oh, okay.
Against them. Because in 2016, he was campaigning in New York and LA against Donald Trump. So when I saw him show up at our town, I was like, here comes Paloma for Trump, right? So I go out there, one person, people are looking at me like, who is this psychopath, right? And I'm like, you stay out of America. You have no business in American politics. Suddenly I get removed because they're like, oh my God, did you, you have no place here? But I did, though. I was telling him, you have no business in American politics, right? Mm-hmm. So, because he was very much against Trump. So anyway, so Trump wins. Suddenly, later that year in 2017, he decides he's gonna run again for the 3rd or 4th time. And in 2018, he wins. But he only decided he was going to run again because Trump won in 2016. And it sort of showed him what the power of this new
The
social
people.
media, the power of technology, because he didn't have that in 2012. In 2012, we didn't have Instagram the way we have it now. We didn't have Facebook. I mean, we did have it, but not
And
with the
that's when they
capabilities that it
changed
has
your
now.
voting system. He got the voting system changed.
Well, it's not that he got it changed, but here's what happened. When you expose something on social media enough,
Yeah.
eventually you're going to mobilize millions of people. He didn't have that benefit or that privilege in 2012. So
Yeah.
even though he, in my opinion, he won in 2012, he was not able to really get enough people behind him where a difference could actually be made.
You got
So
to overwhelm the cheating.
by utilizing Facebook, basically, which is I think the main platform that he used in 2018, it was so hard for the other parties because we have multiple parties. It was so hard for the other parties to win. I mean, to cheat, that he actually he won in 2018. Now, when he came into office, he very much modeled Trump's
System.
way of managing or of approaching the people, and more of like that socialist. Because if you guys remember, Trump said he's a socialist, but I understand him and he's a friend of mine. They went
Yeah.
from being enemies and
Right.
I don't know,
Right.
campaigning against him in New York and LA, to Trump actually calling him his friend, because after they met at the White House, Trump kind of saw where he was coming from, which is more of a socialist approach. But honestly, at the time, it's what Mexico needed instead of that like rigid, more
Well, because
capitalist,
you have so much corruption there.
because there's so much corruption. So Trump really understood his ideology, his purpose, what he was trying to do, and he really agreed with him, because the more that people have in Mexico, the better lives that they have, the less they're going to want to run into America. We know this, right, Jaime?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Like
well, that's
most people don't even want
common
to leave
sense, right?
Mexico. They really only leave out of poverty, and not just Mexico, but other countries too. But
Yeah.
so it's changing. Mexico's changing. It's getting better. But like I said, he just came into office in 2018. Now his successor has come in and recently, just last year, and or the year before, and um she's trying, but it's gonna be an uphill battle, especially with the cartels. It's not easy, especially if we keep having the same demand that we're having in America,
Yeah.
which we're gonna have a whole nother show about pretty soon coming
The
up.
drug demand.
Yeah, that someone said that a strong America helps Mexico get better.
Well, yeah, but remember that drugs are the number 2 source of income for Mexico. So think of that. Do
That's
you
a big
really
thing.
think we're going to
And we're fueling
completely
that too. Yeah.
We're not going to completely slash that, because it's not in Mexico's best interest. Now, I've been talking about this, and we need to have an entire show about this.
I'm surprised you don't have more farming, because you have a lot of land that would be good.
Well,
for
I mean, yeah, Mexico does have amazing land, and a lot of fertile land all across America, fertile como yo. But I just don't think that Mexico is going to do as much as Trump expects Mexico to do, again, because of the amount of money that comes into Mexico from the drug trafficking,
Oh
from
yeah.
the drug
Yeah.
business. And so
The fentanyl's coming from
it's going to
China.
be difficult. Huh?
The fentanyls, the ingredients for fentanyl is coming from China,
Yeah.
both in Vancouver and in Mexico.
Yeah, it's gonna be difficult. It's gonna be an uphill battle, and but we also have to fight that drug use from within. And this is where the
Kills a lot of people.
politicians that are in office now, they need to stop just echoing everything the party is already talking about and voting for. I mean, I'm not saying stop voting, but I'm saying that's all they focus on, as opposed to focusing on coming up with systems such as Mexico has against drug use,
Yeah.
such programs, systems, programs.
Even for
I mean,
mental
different
illness
ways.
también, yeah, all the whole stuff. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
anyway, Jaime, you look tired. I know you want
Yeah.
to
No.
It's
probably.
been a long time.
No,
No,
I'm okay.
I know I have to run, but it was an honor having you, and a real
Absolutely.
pleasure being
No, thank
able
you
to
guys.
interview you and hear from you directly firsthand, and everything that you know, so much of what you've encountered at the border and on the field for so many years, you know?
No, thank you guys for having me.
Oh,
Thank you.
absolutely. Nice meeting you. Actually,
Likewise.
I'm terrible with names. Oh, hopefully I'll get it right. I said it
Jaime,
close enough.
Jaime.
So
Every guys, share this interview.
yeah.
Share this interview. Let's get it out to the White House. I think Officer Jaime needs to deserves to meet President Trump one day
Yeah.
with all the, you know, his
Maybe
service.
we'll,
Not just that, but also a veteran of war, of the Persian War.
maybe around 4th of July we can meet down in DC.
Why not?
Are you up for it?
Oh yeah,
Linda?
why not? Why not?
Let's do it.
As long as there's no Antifa
Let's go
coming
to
down
DC for 4th of July.
4th of July, yeah,
4th of
around that
July.
time.
Just
Yeah, and maybe
11
you can introduce him to Trump's people. Maybe?
Right. Let's do it.
Maybe.
Yeah,
Okay.
fly out to New York and we'll head out to DC, Jaime.
Yeah. Well, you could go fly to DC and we can pick him up and all that kind of stuff too.
You know, it's a much shorter
Pick my
flight.
wife's
Believe
car.
it or not, if you fly from San Diego to DC, it's only 4 hours. And if you fly from San Diego to New York, it's like 5 hours and something.
Wow.
For me to
It's weird.
drive from where I live in New York. It takes me longer to get to New York City than it does for me to get to DC.
That's
About 2.5
because of
hours
traffic, too.
more each way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's insane. It's the traffic is insane.
And you
Right
live
around
in
DC,
New
it's
York
real
State,
good, too.
como yo.
Yeah.
So, okay. Anyway,
All right.
guys,
Thanks everyone
take
for
care.
watching. All right.
Thank you, Jaime. Thank you, Jerry, and everyone. Share this interview. Let's get it out to the White House. Everyone, share it and tag President Trump and tag the White House. Okay.
Okay. I'm going to end it here.